Chapter 560. When the spear came, Yi Xian didn't dodge. He took a quick step forward and stabbed with his sword. That sword was as fast as lightning. That sword was as sharp as an awl. Bang! The spear and sword shook violently and the two figures retreated rapidly. Soon Yi Xian stopped. Not far from him stood a middle-aged man. The middle-aged man wore a tight-fitting robe. He stood ramrod straight and held a spear in his right hand. His eyes were as sharp as knives. The middle-aged man looked coldly at Yi Xian. "Where's the young lady?" "An expert of the Tang clan." Yi Xian smiled. "She's fine. Don't worry." The middle-aged man looked coldly at Yi Xian. "Yi Xian, I heard that you're a young talent. I didn't expect you to use a woman as a hostage. That's not what a man would do." Yi Xian said indifferently, "I heard that the Tang clan is a great clan. I didn't expect you to send dozens of Dao realm experts to deal with a young man who's not even 20 years old. Is this what a man would do?" The middle-aged man narrowed his eyes. "It seems that you won't hand over the young lady." Yi Xian smiled. "I won't hand her over. I'll piss you off." The middle-aged man's eyes twitched. His eyes became colder. "Then go to hell." As he said that, he was about to attack. However, Yi Xian turned around and ran. He was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared into the dense forest. The middle-aged man's face changed. He stomped his right foot and dashed into the forest. However, when he entered the forest, Yi Xian had disappeared. The middle-aged man gripped his spear tightly in his right hand. He was extremely vigilant. Before he came, he already knew about Yi Xian. This person had the strength to kill Dao realm experts. No, he had the ability to kill Dao realm experts in seconds. He couldn't afford to be careless against Yi Xian, especially when it came to Yi Xian, who hid in the dark and assassinated him. The middle-aged man didn't continue to move forward. He started to retreat until he reached the edge of the forest. Then he used his divine sense to scan the forest in front of him. However, he didn't find anything, and his expression became even more solemn. In the end, the middle-aged man hesitated for a moment before choosing to leave. Somewhere in the dense forest, Yi Xian frowned slightly. This guy actually didn't want to come in? If the other party came in, he was 90% sure that he could kill him. Of course, he was confident in facing them head-on. However, he couldn't face them head-on because he didn't know how many of them were rushing over. The Tang clan would not challenge him to a duel. Other than the Tang clan, he also needed to be careful of the Order Alliance. Seeing that the middle-aged man refused to enter, Yi Xian turned around and left. After the middle-aged man left, he returned to Order City. In a certain tea house in the city, a middle-aged man sat down. In front of him was an old man, Elder Yuelao. Yuelao looked at the middle-aged man. "Failed?" The middle-aged man nodded. Yuelao said solemnly, "Lin Mook, this person can't be underestimated." The middle-aged man called Lin Mook nodded. "I exchanged one move with him. This person's strength has surpassed the Dao realm. Rumor has it that he has many trump cards. If he uses them all, normal Dao realm experts won't be his match." Saying this, he looked at Yuelao. "Is the miss still alive?" Yuelao shook his head. "I don't know. What is the family's attitude?" Lin Mook said solemnly, "You know that the miss has an engagement with the Qin clan. Once this matter spreads out, the Qin clan and our Tang clan will lose face." Saying this, he hesitated. Yuelao said softly, "Is there anything you can't tell me?" Lin Mook sighed. "The Qin clan is worried about their face." "I'm afraid they will." Yuelao's eyes narrowed. "They dare." Lin Mook shook his head. "Our Tang clan needs people now. The Qin clan can be considered our right hand. We have to care about their face." Yuelao said solemnly, "What is the family's attitude?" Lin Mook said, "Let me find her if..." Saying this, he didn't continue. Yuelao's face sank. At this moment, Lin Mook said, "The Qin clan might have already sent people out and their goal?" Yuelao said coldly, "They wouldn't dare." Lin Mook shook his head. "We have to find the miss first. Otherwise, the family might have already acquiesced to the Qin clan." Yuelao suddenly raged. "That damned Yi Xian, he is a hooligan." That night, in the vast mountain range, Yi Xian leaned against a tree and sat down. In front of him was a bonfire. He had already used chaotic energy to cover the surrounding space. Opposite Yi Xian was Tang Qing. Yi Xian was roasting a wild chicken. It was golden and fragrant. Tang Qing suddenly asked, "Why don't you ask me how he found you?" Yi Xian said, "Apart from you there is no one else." Tang Qing looked at Yi Xian. "Then you're just going to let it go like this?" Yi Xian smiled. "I don't care what method you use to inform your Tang clan's experts. I'll give you another chance. You have a second chance but not a third." Tang Qing lightly said, bringing me along will only make your situation more troublesome. Yi Xian shook his head, with or without you, my situation will become very troublesome. Tang Qing looked at Yi Xian, young Master Yi, your wisdom is outstanding. If you are willing to give up that treasure Yi Xian smiled and said, Miss Tang Qing, firstly, although this treasure doesn't belong to me, it is indeed mine for now. Don't you think it's a little too far-fetched for you to claim that it's for my own good by snatching something that belongs to me? Second, I've told you before, it's not that I don't want to give it up, but that it is one with me. If I want to give it up, it won't be willing. Tang Qing looked at Yi Xian, then what do you plan to do? Become enemies with the entire world? Yi Xian shook his head, this isn't what I want. But if the entire world wants to become my enemy, then I have no choice. If I have to kill, then I have to kill. If I have to run, then I have to flee. Tang Qing's eyelids twitched. Are you crazy? Can you kill my Tang clan? Can you kill the Order Alliance? Can you kill the Demon clan? Yi Xian spread his hands. Then what do you think I should do? Surrender? I beg you to let me off this time. Actually, it wasn't that he didn't want to give up the world prison pagoda. Rather, this pagoda had already followed him and was connected to his divine soul. If this pagoda didn't voluntarily remove its connection with him, then if anything happened to it, he would be the first to die. Moreover, this was Yi Xian's item. Why would he hand it over? Moreover, if he handed it over, would they let him off? No. These people wouldn't let him off. The more he knelt, the faster he would die. Now that he had the pagoda, he had a trump card. At least if he couldn't win, he could perish together with them. Once he handed it over, he could only wait for death if he couldn't win. He wouldn't hand it over even if he died. Take a risk, take a gamble, everything is possible. Tang Qing looked at Yi Xian without saying a word. Yi Xian flicked his finger and a chicken drumstick landed in front of Tang Qing. The latter didn't stand on ceremony and ate it. After Yi Xian finished eating, he leaned against the tree and asked in his heart, Senior, how can I unlock the 7th level? He couldn't wait to obtain the unparalleled martial art in the 7th level. Immeasurable sword. If he could obtain this unparalleled martial art, his ability to protect himself would be greatly enhanced. The 6th person said, Dao Law. If you can find the 7th level Dao Law, you can enter. Yi Xian said in a deep voice, If I find the 9th level Dao Law, will I be able to enter? The 6th person said, In theory, yes. Yi Xian was struck dumb. Then he asked, Why in theory? The 6th person said, Why do you want to open the 9th level? Are you courting death? Yi Xian, the 6th person said, Did you forget about the 5th person? Or is it because I'm too easy to talk to that you think that everyone in the pagoda is easy to talk to? Yi Xian broke out in a cold sweat. Indeed. He almost forgot about that. Although the 6th person was easy to talk to, Jian Zizai and the 5th person weren't easy to talk to at the beginning. Especially the 5th person, he almost killed him. The 7th person said, Walk the path you're walking on. The 6th floor continued, Walk the path you're walking on. As he said that, he seemed to have thought of something and looked at Tang Qing. Miss Tang, are there any differences in the Dao realm? He realized that he had met some Dao realm experts, but among them, there were weak and strong ones. He realized that he had met some Dao realm experts. But among these Dao realm experts, there were some who were weak and some who were really strong. Tang Qing glanced at Yi Xian. You don't know? Tang Qing said, Dao realm is divided into 3 types. Beginning Dao, knowing Dao and proving Dao. Beginning Dao is to know the existence of Dao, and knowing Dao is to have a certain understanding of Dao. Proving Dao is to have a good understanding. The Genesis Dao is to know the existence of the Dao, and this first knowledge is to have a certain understanding of the Dao, and this Dao validation is to have more or less understood. Beginning Dao is to know the existence of Dao, and knowing Dao is to have a certain understanding of it. Proving Dao is to have a good understanding of it. Tang Qing said, Those who came this time are all at the Genesis Dao realm. However, their strength isn't something that the Genesis Dao realm experts outside can compare to. Tang Qing said, Our Tang clan cavalry is divided into 3 types. Proving Dao realm cavalry, beginning Dao realm cavalry, and above that. She looked at Yi Xian. 3 different levels of Tang clan cavalry. This woman was telling him how strong the Tang clan was. Yi Xian asked, What level are Mu Fengqian and Wu Wen from the Sword Sect? Tang Qing said, Knowing Dao realm. Yi Xian asked, What about Yu Wuqian? Tang Qing said, He's still knowing Dao realm. Yi Xian frowned, but his strength far surpasses Wu Wen and Mu Fengqian. Tang Qing said, Because he has another identity, the Extraordinary Sword Saint. The Extraordinary Sword Saint is equivalent to the Dao validation realm. If he attains the Tao validation realm and is an extraordinary sword saint, then he can even easily surmount realms to kill experts above the Tao validation realm. An extraordinary sword saint. Yi Xian said solemnly, Miss Tang, what level do you think he is in the sword Tao? He was a great sword immortal before this, but he didn't know what level he was at now. Tang Qing glanced at Yi Xian, cheap sword saint. Extraordinary cheap sword saint. Yi Xian was taken aback and then he said, Am I considered a transcendent sword saint? Tang Qing nodded, yes. Even Yu Wuchen isn't a match for you at the same level. Yi Xian was speechless. P.S. Also I want tickets. Chapter 561. Yi Xian's face darkened. How could he not hear Tang Qing's sarcasm? Yi Xian didn't want to argue with her. He leaned against the tree and asked, Miss Tang, why did the sword sect in Wuyuan decline to this extent? In the observed world, the sword sect in Wuyuan were as famous as the Order Alliance and the Tang clan. But now, the strength of the sword sect and the martial institution wasn't just a little bit inferior to the Tang clan. Tang Qing shook her head. That's because you don't know when they were at their peak. When the sword sect was at its peak, who dared to disrespect them? At that time, there were more than 30 transcendent sword saints in their sect. Back then, there was an incident where the sacred son of the demon race killed a disciple of the sword sect. After that, 16 transcendent sword sages charged into the demon race's hinterlands, forcing the demon race to execute that sword sect disciple. Yi Xian frowned. The demon race didn't dare to fight? Tang Qing said calmly, How? You don't know how terrifying 30 transcendent sword saints were. When they joined forces they could destroy the world. Moreover, the sect master of the sword sect was unfathomable. In addition, they were on the same side as Wuyuan. How could they fight? I'm afraid they couldn't kill the demon race. Yi Xian nodded slightly and asked, What about Wuyuan? Tang Qing said in a deep voice, When Wuyuan was at its peak, a super genius appeared in Wuyuan. His name was Zhou Yafu. When this person was around, Wuyuan was at its peak. This person was invincible. He looked for people to fight every day. First, he fought with the demon king of the demon race. Then he fought with the Tang clan master. Finally, he fought with the Order Alliance's Star Lord. Speaking up to this point, she paused and said, He even won. Yi Xian was speechless. Tang Qing said, At that time he alone was enough to block a magnificent army, and that time could also be said to be the peak period of the martial arts institution. Yi Xian asked, Is Zhou Yafu still coding? Tang Qing said softly, I don't know. I only know that he went to the Eastern Wasteland domain in the end. He probably went to the Divine Kingdom. As for whether he was beaten to death or went somewhere else, I don't know. Yi Xian frowned. Is a Divine Kingdom very powerful? Tang Qing was silent. Just as Yi Xian was about to speak, Tang Qing suddenly said, Back then he almost unified the myriad worlds. Do you think he's amazing? Yi Xian said, I know about this. I think it was stopped by that Star Lord back then. Tang Qing said softly, I'm afraid only the Divine Kingdom and the Star Lord know what happened at that time. At this point she wanted to say something but stopped. Yi Xian asked, What's wrong? Tang Qing glanced at Yi Xian. Fine, I'm afraid I won't be able to live for long anyway, so there's nothing I can't say. Do you know why there were so few records about the Divine Nation and the Star Lord after that? Yi Xian shook his head. Tang Qing said, Because the Star Lord died in battle. Yi Xian asked in a low voice, Died? Tang Qing nodded. He died a terrible death. His body is still hanging in the Eastern Wasteland Domain's God Burial Plain. This is also a disgrace to the Alliance of Order. Everyone in the Alliance of Order wants to bring back their ancestor's body. Yi Xian frowned. No, if the Star Lord was defeated, why would the Divine Kingdom retreat? Tang Qing looked at Yi Xian. This has something to do with you. Yi Xian was stunned. Something to do with me? What? Tang Qing said in a low voice, This treasure of yours first appeared in the God Burial Plain and disappeared in the end. Therefore, my ancestor speculated that the Divine Kingdom's retreat might have something to do with this treasure of yours. But as for the specific reason, we are not sure. It had something to do with this tower? Yi Xian shook his head. The tower couldn't speak or it would know what had happened. The great god and the others on the second floor were locked up and in a deep sleep. They must not know what had happened. No. Someone knew what had happened. The girl in the plain dress. She wasn't locked up. This plainly dressed woman definitely knew what had happened back then. Tang Qing added, No matter what, the future generations should remember Gu Tatian. If it wasn't for him, the world would be under the Divine Kingdom's rule. Yi Xian smiled. Maybe it's not a bad thing? Tang Qing shook his head. It's definitely a bad thing. Those who are conquered won't be treated well. Moreover, once they are unified, they won't have any enemies. At that time, it will be a disaster for those who are ruled. Yi Xian nodded. You're right. He then looked at Tang Qing. Miss Tang, what about the Tang clan's peak? Tang Qing said, the first was 1,000 years ago, when the Tang clan's most outstanding clan master appeared. The second is now. Yi Xian was puzzled, but Tang Qing said, I can't tell you that. Yi Xian nodded. I won't ask. Tang Qing said, in fact, the sword sect and Wuyuan didn't decline because of their internal problems. Of course, it had nothing to do with their internal problems in the beginning. Every force has its peak and weak moments, but they didn't stabilize themselves when they were weak. Not only that, but they also consumed each other. Just like this time, they wasted their greatest trump card, the ancestor's avatar, for the sake of internal strife. She shook her head. If they hadn't wasted the ancestor's soul, I wouldn't have attacked the sword sect. The reason why they have fallen to such a state is because their decision-makers made stupid decisions one after another. At this point, she looked at Yi Xian. One more thing, and that is the utilization of talents. You will never know how much our clan values talents. As long as you are talented, no matter who you are, where you were born, or where you came from, we will value you. Of course, nothing is more important than the clan's interests. However, if your development is in line with the clan's interests, the clan will nurture you at all costs. Not only that, as long as you are strong and beneficial to the clan, even a woman can become the clan master. In the history of the Tang clan, there have been 9 female clan masters. Here we don't discriminate. Even if you are an illegitimate child, as long as you are capable, the position of crown prince will immediately be yours. That clan master left behind a message. Yi Xian asked, what message? Tang Qing looked at Yi Xian. If you are capable, you can do it. Yi Xian, if you are capable, you can do it. Yi Xian was silent. At this moment he was still a little shocked. There was a reason why such a large clan was so powerful. At this moment he thought of the Qingqing Yi clan. Back then, those elders of the Yi clan only cared about their own interests. In front of them, the clan's interests were nothing. Just like that great elder. In order to let his grandson ascend the position, he could be said to be unscrupulous. Tang Qing didn't say anything else. She leaned against a tree and quietly ate the chicken drumstick in her hand. Not far away, Yi Xian also didn't say anything else. He took out a wooden figure. This wooden figure was Yi Ling. Yi Ling. Yi Xian gently stroked the wooden figure. He wondered how that lass was doing now. Not far away, Tang Qing looked at Yi Xian and fell into deep thought. No matter what the outcome of Yi Xian's scheme was, she knew that it wouldn't end well for her. As a member of the Tang clan, she had a lot of resources but also a lot of helplessness. In short, the clan's interests were paramount. For the clan's interests, even the clan master could be sacrificed. What more her? A moment later, Tang Qing slowly closed her eyes. The surroundings were silent. Wuyuan. In a cave, Yi Ling sat cross-legged on a praying mat. The aura around her was getting stronger. Outside the cave was Wu Wen and all the Dao realm experts in Wuyuan. After Enlanxiu broke through, it was now Yi Ling's turn. Moreover, Yi Ling was also trying to break through to the Dao realm. Once Yi Ling succeeded, Wuyuan would have 2 young Dao realm experts. Now 4. Because even Wan Li and Mo Xia already showed signs of breaking through to the Dao realm. Monsters. The 4 most monstrous people in Wuyuan. Once all 4 of them successfully entered the Dao realm, it had to be said that the entire Wuyuan was excited. Because Wuyuan had been quiet for too long. In time, the martial arts institution would be able to return to its peak. Of course, they were nervous as well because they were afraid of being suppressed by the Order Alliance, Tang Clan, and the Demon Race. Now that Wuyuan had lost its strongest trump card, if those people were to act against Wuyuan, then Wuyuan would be in an extremely dangerous situation. At the entrance to the cave, Qin Shan suddenly appeared by Wu Wen's side. There's news of him. Wu Wen gazed at Qin Shan and the latter spoke in a low voice. He kidnapped the eldest young miss of the Tang clan in Order City. The experts of the Tang clan are looking for him now. Moreover, according to what I know, the experts of Order City are looking for him as well. Wu Wen's expression eased up slightly when he heard this. Yi Xian keeping these powers busy was naturally great news for Wuyuan. Moreover, the longer they could keep him busy, the better. Wu Wen fell silent for a moment before he asked, "How is he now?" Qin Shan shook his head. His whereabouts are unknown. However, he might show himself again. When he spoke up to hear, he hesitated for a moment before he said, "If he doesn't show himself, then no one will be able to do anything to him. All of them were aware of Yi Xian's concealment technique, and if Yi Xian kept fleeing and concealing himself, then no one would be able to do anything to him. Wu Wen shook his head. He won't. As he spoke, he gazed at the nearby cave. If he does that, then those hostile powers will target Yi Ling. So, he won't conceal himself. Qin Shan sighed softly. He's actually quite loyal. Wu Wen nodded. He really is. However, no matter if it's my Wu Yuan or the sword sect, we can't let him live. As he spoke, he raised his head and looked towards the horizon. I hope he's blessed by the heavens. Qin Shan nodded lightly. I hope so. Order City. Within the mountain range, Tang Qing, who was leaning on a tree, suddenly opened her eyes, and she looked at Yi Xian, who was nearby. You might be in big trouble? Yi Xian furrowed his brows slightly. What do you mean? Tang Qing looked straight at Yi Xian. Order Alliance has already invited Liang Dao sect, and your whereabouts will soon be known by them. Yi Xian said in a deep voice, my concealment technique is very powerful. Tang Qing shook her head. As long as you haven't surpassed this tendo, you won't be able to hide. Just as Yi Xian was about to speak, the voice from the 6th floor suddenly sounded. Kid, someone is calculating you. Yi Xian was stunned. What do you mean? The 6th floor said, calculating? This person is quite skilled. I should remind you to run. Run. Yi Xian was speechless. P.S. Chapter 7. I have no other requests except for monthly votes and subscriptions. Today is double monthly votes. If I tip 1 monthly vote, I will get 2 monthly votes and so on. Monthly votes. All readers who come to Zongheng to subscribe and support me. A small subscription is the biggest support for me. Today, 5 readers will be selected to send physical books. These are the last 5 books and also the last draw. Thank you to all readers. Monthly votes, subscriptions, support, please love me. Chapter 562. Run. As soon as the voice on the 6th floor faded away, Yi Xian got up and disappeared with Tang Qing. At the instant when Yi Xian and Yi Xian disappeared, an old man suddenly appeared on the scene. The old man wore a green robe, held a tortoise shell in his left hand, a string of copper coins in his right, and a pair of straw sandals on his feet. As soon as the old man landed on the ground, a black-robed old man appeared by his side. The black-robed old man spoke in a low voice. Heavenly Master Li, did they escape? Heavenly Master Li glanced at the surroundings and spoke softly. He knows we're coming. He's not simple. The black-robed old man nodded. According to our information, he really isn't simple. Heavenly Master Li's eyes narrowed. I suspect he's being guided by an expert. An expert? The black-robed old man frowned. An expert? Heavenly Master Li nodded. He's so young, so it's impossible for him to see through the old man's divination technique. There's only one explanation. Someone saw through it and told him. The black-robed old man spoke in a low voice. Can Heavenly Master Li divine the other party? Heavenly Master Li pondered for a moment and then he said, let the old man give it a try. As soon as he finished speaking, his right palm trembled lightly, and the string of copper coins in his hand suddenly flew out. The copper coins fell to the ground in a messy mess. Heavenly Master Li looked at the copper coins on the ground, and then his right fingers started moving. Gradually, the copper coins in front of him started moving, and the space around him started trembling as if something was moving. A few thousand kilometers away. The voice of the 6th person suddenly resounded in Yi Xian's mind. Stop. Yi Xian immediately stopped. The 6th person said, someone's divining you. Yi Xian spoke in a low voice. What should we do? The 6th person said, enter the pagoda. Yi Xian asked, so they can't divine me? The 6th person said, of course. If they could divine this lousy pagoda, would they still be living in this lousy place? Yi Xian smiled embarrassedly, and then he hurriedly entered the pagoda. The moment Yi Xian entered the World Prison Pagoda, Heavenly Master Li, who was thousands of miles away in the mountain range, suddenly frowned. The black-robed elder hurriedly asked, how is it? Heavenly Master Li looked into the distance and frowned. Strange. How strange. Fang Xiun could still detect the trace of this person's aura, but at this moment, it suddenly disappeared as if he had evaporated. The black-robed old man said in a deep voice, why is it like this? Heavenly Master Li looked at the copper coins on the ground. At that moment all the copper coins had stopped. Heavenly Teacher Li said softly, there are only 2 possibilities. The first is that he's dead, and his soul has been destroyed, completely disappearing. The second is that he used something to conceal himself and has already jumped out of this world. The black-robed old man said in a low voice. The second. Heavenly Master Li nodded. This person is not simple. As he spoke, he looked into the distance and said softly, of course if he appears, I will know him at the first possible moment. The black-robed old man said, Heavenly Master Li, don't leave me during this period of time. Yi Xian is too strong, and he's especially skilled in the art of assassination. Even a Dao realm expert would find it difficult to resist his assassination. Heavenly Master Li said with a smile, will he come to kill me? The black-robed old man was just about to speak when Heavenly Master Li's pupils suddenly constricted. He turned around, opened his palm, and a copper coin blocked the space between his brows. And at the space between his brows, a sword had appeared out of nowhere. However, this sword just happened to be blocked by the copper coin. The black-robed old man reacted extremely quickly and blasted his palm forward. Bang! Rumble. The space in front of the two of them trembled. At the same time, a figure retreated explosively. It was Yi Xian who retreated explosively. The black-robed old man was just about to attack again when Heavenly Master Li suddenly said, this is an illusion. As soon as he said that, he opened his right palm and quickly wrote a word with his left hand. Then he gently pressed his right hand forward. Break. As soon as he said that, the space in front of the two of them suddenly became illusory, but it quickly returned to normal. At this moment Yi Xian was no longer there. Heavenly Master Li said softly, this concealment technique is really amazing. The black-robed old man's expression was somewhat ugly. Just now, Yi Xian had actually attacked in front of him. He looked at Heavenly Master Li. Heavenly Master, can you find his whereabouts? Heavenly Master Li shook his head. Not at the moment. The black-robed old man frowned slightly and was puzzled. What? Heavenly Master Li said softly, that sword strike of his just now wasn't really to kill me but to break my qi. There's an expert behind this person. As he said that, he suddenly became somewhat excited. Alright, let's let the old man fight with him. Let's return to the city. I'm going to set up a formation. As soon as he said that, he turned and left. The black-robed old man also turned and left. Not long after the two of them left, Yi Xian suddenly appeared in the field. His expression was somewhat solemn. That Heavenly Master Li didn't seem like a weakling at all. As the sixth person said, the other party's divination technique did have some skill. Right now, his greatest advantage was that he could hide in the dark. Once he lost this advantage, his situation would become very bad. At this moment, the sixth person suddenly said, does he want to fight me? Hearing that, Yi Xian was overjoyed and hurriedly said, how could he be a match for you, senior? The sixth person said, don't even think about fighting me. I won't fight and I can't fight. Yi Xian was speechless. The sixth person said, this divination technique is a rather evil secret technique. Even in my era it was relatively rare. The most powerful thing about it is that it can borrow the earth eye, the heaven eye, and the eye of all things. That person, Fang Xiyuan, can already borrow the earth eye, and knows how to calculate with his fingers and the tortoise-shell divination technique. Although your chaos was strong enough before, it couldn't cut off your fate and karma. This divination and calculation is using your fate and karma to find you. Yi Xian smiled bitterly and shook his head. I still don't quite understand. The sixth person said, it's normal. The art of divination is mysterious, and ordinary people can't understand it. Yi Xian asked, Senior, how should I deal with it? The sixth person said, that's your problem. Yi Xian was speechless. The sixth person said again, I'm going to rest for a while. If I'm fast, I'll wake up in half a month. If I'm slow, I'll wake up in half a year. I hope you're still alive when I wake up. Take care. Yi Xian hurriedly said, Senior, I have another question. However, there was no response. Yi Xian's face darkened. This guy was sleeping at a time like this. What the hell? How was he going to deal with Heavenly Master Li? After a moment of silence, Yi Xian turned around and left. He didn't choose to continue running. Instead, he walked toward Order City. It wasn't his style to keep hiding. Soon Yi Xian returned to Order City. As soon as he arrived, he felt a powerful energy wave. Yi Xian followed the energy wave and soon arrived in front of an altar in the center of the city. On the altar, Heavenly Master Li was fiddling with something. Seeing Heavenly Master Li, Yi Xian frowned slightly. Clearly, he was setting up a formation to deal with him. In the dark, Yi Xian looked around. There was no one around except for the black-robed elder who followed Heavenly Master Li. Of course, he wasn't stupid enough to believe that there was only one expert. Yi Xian quietly retreated. On the altar, Heavenly Master Li was holding a wooden sword and gesturing something. In front of him was a sand table. In the sand table, the sand suddenly began to tremble. Beside him, the black-robed elder crossed his arms and closed his eyes to rest. However, his divine sense was constantly covering the surroundings. Of course, he hoped that Yi Xian would appear. If Yi Xian appeared, he could save himself a lot of trouble. On the altar, Heavenly Master Li suddenly pointed the wooden sword in front of him. Appear. As soon as he said that, his face instantly turned pale. And in the sand table, a figure quietly appeared. Not only that, but the surrounding environment was also displayed. Although it was a little blurry, it was getting clearer. The black-robed elder stared at the sand table. He knew that the sand table would soon show Yi Xian's position. Within a radius of hundreds of thousands of miles, they could rush over in an instant. At that time, Yi Xian wouldn't be able to escape even if he had wings. Soon Yi Xian's appearance and the surrounding environment on the sand table became clearer. The black-robed elder stared at the sand table. Heavenly Master Li's face became even paler. Not only that, but cold sweat also flowed down. And at this moment there was a sudden change. The appearance of Yi Xian, that appeared on the sand table, suddenly disappeared. Heavenly Master Li and the black-robed elder were directly stunned. But what shocked them even more was that the surrounding spiritual energy was all gone. Not only the surrounding area, but the entire orderly city's spiritual energy had actually disappeared completely. What's going on? The black-robed elder suddenly swept his gaze around, his face full of confusion. Heavenly Master Li also frowned, his face full of confusion. Without spiritual energy, his formation would naturally lose its effect. But the problem was, why was there no spiritual energy? Moreover, the entire orderly city's spiritual energy had disappeared. How was that possible? As the spiritual energy in the orderly city disappeared, the entire orderly city fell into a panic. The sudden disappearance of spiritual energy made many people uncomfortable. Because without spiritual energy, what could they do with the little bit of spiritual energy in their bodies? It was gone after releasing a martial arts technique. In front of the altar, Heavenly Master Li suddenly said in a deep voice, "It might be Yi Xian's doing." The black-robed elder looked at Heavenly Master Li and the latter said, "No, he definitely doesn't have the ability to do so. It must be the person behind him." As he spoke, he looked at the black-robed elder. Has the Order Alliance found out about the background of the person behind him? The Order Alliance shook their head. Only the Star-Lord knows about Dao Yi, but he didn't tell us. Heavenly Master Li frowned slightly and he thought to himself, Yi Xian is clearly not simple. If we continue to do this to Yi Xian, it's very likely that we'll lose both myself and the Liang Dao sect. Meanwhile, the black-robed elder suddenly said, "Don't worry, Heavenly Master Li. Our Order Alliance will deal with Yi Xian and the person behind him. Heavenly Master Li just needs to find his whereabouts." Heavenly Master Li shook his head. There's no spiritual energy and setting up a formation requires a huge amount of spiritual energy. The black-robed elder said, "We'll provide divine crystals." Heavenly Master Li shook his head. This person is too mysterious and he's not an ordinary person. I'll have to return to the sect and ask my master to see if our Liang Dao sect can deal with Yi Xian. The black-robed elder's face instantly darkened. Fuck, you still want to see if you can deal with him? Chapter 563. Heavenly Master Li's expression became more serious the more he thought about it. He had only come to return a favor to the Order Alliance. To him, finding someone was naturally a small matter. But from the looks of it, it wasn't that simple. He knew that Yi Xian had a treasure on him, but he didn't know much about Yi Xian. But now he realized that Yi Xian wasn't simple. He might have an expert behind him. If this continued, he might bring disaster to himself and the sect. He had to first see if this person could be dealt with. Thinking of this, Heavenly Master Li turned around and left. The black-robed elder didn't even stop him. Seeing Heavenly Master Li disappear into the horizon, the black-robed elder's expression was extremely ugly. He really left? The black-robed elder was a bit stunned. Moments later, the black-robed elder turned around and left. Without the Liang Dao sect, if Yi Xian didn't show himself, no one could do anything to him. There was only one way to make the Liang Dao sect continue to act, and that was to get the sect master to agree. Within the Order City, as the spiritual chi disappeared, the entire Order City fell into a state of panic. It should be said that the entire Order City was in chaos. Humans were greedy. Usually many people hid it well, but once there were no laws or moral restraints, they wouldn't even recognize themselves. But soon the entire Order City regained its calm. This was because those who took the opportunity to cause trouble were beheaded without any warning and their corpses were thrown onto the streets. In less than 2 hours, the streets of the Order City were piled with over 100 corpses. Among them, there were over a dozen Manifestation Realm experts. It was truly a bloodbath. In a certain tavern, Yuelao and Lin Mu sat opposite each other. Yuelao said solemnly, "I received news that Heavenly Master Li also failed." Lin Mu looked around. This city's spiritual chi suddenly disappeared. Was he the one who did it? Yuelao nodded, "Yes. This happened in the Sword Sect too." Lin Mu frowned. "How did he do it?" Yuelao shook his head. "I don't know," Lin Mu said solemnly. "The family has sent a message." Yuelao hurriedly asked, "What does the family mean?" Lin Mu said, "The Qin family has asked the family to cancel the engagement." Yuelao flew into a rage. "How dare they?" Lin Mu shook his head. "The Qin family's explanation is that the miss has fallen into the hands of that Yi Xian. Even if she doesn't die, her innocence will be ruined. Thus they want to cancel the engagement." Yuelao said in a low voice, "Clan head has already agreed." Lin Mu nodded. "Also, pass down the order that if the eldest miss has already perished, then avenge her at all costs. But if she hasn't perished," at this point he didn't continue. Yuelao stood up, "I'll make a trip back to the clan." Lin Mu shook his head. "It is already a foregone conclusion." Yuelao's expression immediately became extremely ugly. Wuyang Mountain. The Wuyang Mountain was located in the northern wasteland domain, hundreds of thousands of miles away from the City of Order. The Wuyang Mountain was 9,900 meters tall. If one looked down, the entire mountain seemed to be standing in the endless starry sky, and one could reach out and pluck the stars. After returning to the immeasurable mountain, Heavenly Master Li went straight to the immeasurable hall. Inside the hall, Heavenly Master Li bowed slightly to the old man. "Master." The old man wore a hemp robe and his beard was so long that it could touch the ground. This person was the current sect master of the Liang Dao sect, Mo Wuyang. Mo Wuyang said, "You came for that Yi Xian?" Heavenly Master Li nodded. "Yes." Disciple couldn't find this person's whereabouts even with the tortoise shell technique and the earth-finding array. "I'm afraid there is an expert behind this person, so I came to ask Master if this Yi Xian can be offended by my Liang Dao sect?" Mo Wuyang shook his head. "I won't interfere in this matter." Heavenly Master Li frowned. "Master, who is behind this Yi Xian?" Mo Wuyang stood up and walked to the entrance of the hall. He looked up at the starry sky and said softly, "No matter who it is, it's someone we can't afford to offend." Heavenly Master Li said in a low voice, "So strong?" Mo Wuyang said indifferently, "If he isn't strong, then how can Yi Xian live until now with the treasure? And that treasure, although it is the world's treasure, it is also the world's #1 disaster." Heavenly Master Li asked, "My Liang Dao sect won't participate?" Mo Wuyang was silent. Heavenly Master Li asked again, "Master, are you hesitating?" Mo Wuyang shook his head. "Not at all. In terms of martial strength, my Liang Dao sect can't even compare to the Sword Sect, and the Sword Sect was almost exterminated because of this treasure. How would I dare to be greedy? What I'm worried about is that my Liang Dao sect doesn't want to participate, but someone is forcing us to participate." At this point he suddenly raised his head. "These bastards are here." Just as he finished speaking, a middle-aged man and a black-robed old man appeared in front of him. Mo Wuyang looked at the middle-aged man and smiled. "So it's Protector Qin Tian of the Order Alliance." Qin Tian smiled. "Sect head Mo, please don't blame me for disturbing you." Mo Wuyang smiled. "Not at all. Come invite me in." Soon a group of people entered the hall. In the hall, Qin Tian smiled. "Venerable Mo, I won't waste any more time. This time, Sect head Mo already knows why I'm here, so I hope that Sect head Mo can help me." Mo Wuyang said solemnly, "Protector Qin, this isn't a simple matter." Qin Tian smiled. "If Sect head Mo has any difficulties, please feel free to speak." Mo Wuyang sighed. "Protector Qin, you're a straightforward person. The old man won't beat around the bush with you. This divination is equivalent to peeking into the secrets of the heavens, and peeking into the secrets of the heavens comes with a price. If it was an ordinary person, it would naturally be a small matter to the old man. But this Yi Xian isn't an ordinary person. Even the old man can't help but admire his concealment technique. And to find him you'll need to pay a huge price." Qin Tian smiled. "Sect head Mo, please speak frankly." Mo Wuyang said. "Firstly, the old man needs a large amount of God crystals to set up the array, at least 5 million. Secondly, the old man needs someone to help the old man withstand the heavenly tribulation. Any divination of karma and fate might result in a heavenly tribulation. If there is, the old man needs someone to help him withstand it. Thirdly, and most importantly, the old man needs the Order Alliance to send 3 knowing realm experts to protect my Liang Dao sect. Qin Tian went silent. Mo Wuliang asked again. Does sect head Qin feel troubled? Qin Tian shook his head. If the Order Alliance can do this, can you help us find his whereabouts? Mo Wuliang nodded. Yes, but there's only one chance. After the old man sets up the array, his vitality will be greatly damaged and he will need to rest for a long time. So, if you know where Yi Xian is, you must capture him. Otherwise you'll have to wait for at least 2 months. Qin Tian thought for a moment. Sect head Mo only needs to find his whereabouts. We'll handle the rest. With that, he looked at the black-robed old man. Fetch 5 million god crystals for sect head Mo. 5 million god crystals. Even though the black-robed old man was very unwilling, he still chose to get it. 5 million divinity gems was not a small number. After the black-robed old man turned and left, Qin Tian looked at Mo Wuliang. Sect head Mo, rumor has it that you know the secrets of the heavens. Do you think that Yi Xian is alive or dead? Mo Wuliang shook his head. Guardian Qin, don't joke with the old man. Know the secrets of the heavens? Guardian Qin, do you believe in such nonsense? Qin Tian smiled and didn't say anything. Know the secrets of the heavens? Only at his level did he truly understand what the so-called secrets of the heavens were. Who could know the future? At least in his opinion, no one. Could the ancient race powerhouses of the past be any weaker than the people of the present? If they knew the future, how could they have been exterminated? Of course, once one reached a certain level, it was true that they could sense some things in the dark. For example, danger. And the Liang Dao sect's divination was actually using this heaven and earth to find out where Yi Xian was. It wasn't knowing the future. Of course, this method couldn't be underestimated. At this moment, the black-robed old man who left earlier returned. The black-robed old man pointed and a storage ring landed in front of Mo Wuliang. Mo Wuliang glanced at it and kept the storage ring. Please wait outside for a moment. The old man is about to set up an array. When Yi Xian appears, I will inform the 2 of you. Qin Tian looked straight at Mo Wuliang. There shouldn't be a problem, right? Mo Wuliang said seriously, of course not. But let me say this first. If you can't catch him, then don't blame the old man. Qin Tian nodded. Of course. Then the 2 of us will wait for sect head Mo's good news. With that, the 2 of them turned and left. After the 2 of them left, Heavenly Master Li suddenly said, Master, didn't you say that you wouldn't get involved? Mo Wuliang said indifferently, if we don't get involved, do you think the Order Alliance will give up? Will they? Heavenly Master Li shook his head. Mo Wuliang said softly, we have no choice but to get involved. But we won't offend the Yi Xian. Heavenly Master Li looked at Mo Wuliang. Master, what do you mean? Mo Wuliang was silent for a moment. Then he pointed his finger and a black jade pendant landed in front of Heavenly Master Li. This is a teleportation stone. It can teleport you 1,000,000 miles in an instant. But you only have 2 chances. Give this to that Yi Xian. Heavenly Master Li said solemnly, if the Order Alliance finds out, Mo Wuliang shook his head. If you don't say it, I don't say it, and Yi Xian doesn't say it, no one will know. Heavenly Master Li was about to speak when Mo Wuliang suddenly said, he won't say it. Heavenly Master Li was puzzled. What? Mo Wuliang smiled. Because he's not stupid. If he says it, will the Order Alliance kill the old man? They won't. On the contrary, we will completely stand on the Order Alliance's side. By then he will have nowhere to hide. With that, he looked into the distance. This little swordsman is very smart. Heavenly Master Li nodded. Where is he now? Mo Wuliang said indifferently, in my Liang Dao sect. Heavenly Master Li was stunned. Mo Wuliang said again, he just came in. He's not far behind you. Heavenly Master Li's expression changed. He turned around and saw a youth standing not far from him. It was Yi Xian. Yi Xian looked at Mo Wuliang. Senior has good eyesight. Mo Wuliang smiled. Are you here to kill me? Yi Xian shook his head. No, I'm just here to take a look. Really, I don't have any other intentions. Mo Wuliang laughed and said, little friend, the energy on your body should be the chaos energy, right? Yi Xian's heart trembled. This old man isn't just your average level of power. Mo Wuliang said again, little friend, can you cooperate with the old man and put on a show to help my Liang Dao sect out of danger? Yi Xian looked at Mo Wuliang. Why are you helping me? Mo Wuliang chuckled. Everyone wants to snatch your treasure. The old man wants to do the opposite. Although you don't seem to have any hope of winning, what if you do? If that time really comes, the old man only has one request. I hope that little friend can let the old man take a look at that treasure. The old man has spent his entire life studying the dimensions of the universe. The old man really wants to know what kind of world the fifth dimension is. P.S. To those who didn't get a book, I'm very sorry. I really can't give it to everyone. However, I will hold similar events in the future. I won't be typing this morning. I'll be chatting with everyone, talking about life and the plot. If you have anything you want to say, praise me, scold me, have any suggestions, or have anything you want to say, leave a message. I'll definitely reply. If I leave my QQ, congratulations, you've won the prize. Lastly, I hope that everyone can subscribe to the official website. The society is under a lot of pressure right now. Without a subscription, my wife can't even think about it. The moment I think about it, 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 it's a car. I'm only 18. How could he bear such a huge pressure? Seeking monthly votes. Please subscribe. Please subscribe. Chapter 564. The Fifth Dimension. Yixin finally understood. This old man wanted to understand the fifth dimension through the World Prison Pagoda. That's right, to understand the fifth dimension, there's nothing better than the World Prison Pagoda. At the thought of this, Yixin asked, Senior, why don't you look at it now? Mo Wuliang smiled. The old man wants to look at it now, but are you willing to let me look at it for free? Yixin smiled but didn't answer the question. Junior is willing to cooperate with Senior's act. Yixin smiled, then looked at Heavenly Master Li. The latter pointed his finger, and the transfer stone landed in front of Yixin. Yixin kept the transfer stone, and just as he was about to leave, Mo Wuliang suddenly said, Later on, the old man will reveal little friend's whereabouts to them. The old man hopes that little friend can activate the transfer stone when they arrive. Little friend, rest assured, this transfer stone is special, unless the Star Lord acts, otherwise they won't be able to stop you. Yixin nodded, understood. With that, he was about to leave. But at this moment, he seemed to have thought of something and turned to Mo Wuliang. Senior, may I ask, how did you know my whereabouts so accurately? Mo Wuliang said seriously, Little friend, your primal chaos energy is indeed impressive. However, it isn't omnipotent. In this period of time, there are countless people with special abilities. Don't underestimate anyone, especially the Order Alliance and the Tang clan. Yixin clasped his fists. Many thanks for the reminder. With that, he turned and left. As for the question just now, he didn't ask again. Since the other party didn't want to say, if he asked again, it would seem like he had no sense of propriety. Yixin left without a sound, as if he had never appeared. Heavenly Master Li looked at Mo Wuliang with a serious expression. Master, what is that primordial energy? Mo Wuliang said softly, In the early stages of a universe's birth, there will be 3 types of energy. One is the primordial energy. Heavenly Master Li asked, What about the other 2? Mo Wuliang said, Yin and Yang, one Yin and one Yang, they have the power to destroy heaven and earth. As he spoke, he looked at Heavenly Master Li. Heavenly Master, you have to remember that you can be ambitious, but ambition is a double-edged sword. If you don't handle it well, you'll die a horrible death. Heavenly Master Li nodded. I will follow Master's teachings. Mo Wuliang nodded. Let them in. Heavenly Master Li retreated. Not long after, Celestial Master Li walked in with the 2 of them. At this moment, a water screen appeared in the middle of the hall. Something seemed to be forming in the water screen. Qin Tian and the black-robed old man stared fixedly at the water screen. In next to no time, a figure appeared within it, and it was Yixin. At this moment, Yixin was in the City of Order. At this time, the scene suddenly stopped and the water curtain disappeared. Not far away, Mo Wuliang suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood, and the ground was covered with it. Not only that, his face was abnormally pale, as if he was about to die. Qin Tian was about to speak, but Mo Wuliang waved his hand. Quickly go and capture him. The old man will be fine after resting for 2 months. Qin Tian nodded. Sect head Mo, take care. With that, he and the black-robed old man disappeared. As soon as the 2 of them disappeared, Heavenly Master Li hurriedly said, Master? Mo Wuliang said softly, Life is like a play and sometimes we have to act. From now on, if anyone comes looking for me, tell them that I'm recuperating. With that, he turned and left. In the City of Order. At the corner of the city, Yixin suddenly stood up. The moment he stood up, 2 people appeared in front of him. It was Qin Tian and the black-robed old man. Apart from these 2, There were 7 experts around them. All of them were in the Dao realm. Qin Tian looked at Yi Xian. Surprised? Yi Xian said in a low voice, "That's impossible. You can't find me." Qin Tian said indifferently, "Yi Xian, I don't want to talk nonsense with you. You have 2 choices now. First, hand over that treasure. Second, fight all of us alone." At this point he smiled. "Of course you can also choose to escape. However, we've already reinforced the surrounding space. If you want to use the space to escape, you'll have to break through all of our powers by yourself." Yi Xian was silent. Qin Tian slowly clenched his right hand. "Have you thought it through?" Yi Xian nodded. "Yes." With that, he looked at Qin Tian. "I choose the third option." Qin Tian nodded and made an inviting gesture. "Please begin your performance." A stone suddenly appeared in Yi Xian's palm. It was the teleportation stone. He circulated his Shen Qi and in the next moment, he disappeared. The air in the field suddenly froze. "Gone?" Qin Tian and the others looked at each other. In the next moment, Qin Tian suddenly appeared where Yi Xian was. He pressed his palm down lightly. The space was undamaged. In other words, Yi Xian didn't break through space. Then the question came. How did he escape? Meanwhile, the black-robed old man spoke abruptly. "We shouldn't have given him any chance. We should have swarmed him and annihilated him the moment we saw him." All the experts in the surroundings looked at Qin Tian. Even though they didn't say anything, they couldn't help but grumble in their hearts. Let him perform? That was great. That performance wasn't just ordinarily brilliant. Qin Tian's expression was unsightly to the extreme. He'd originally thought that it was absolutely foolproof. Even if Yi Xian grew wings, it would be impossible for him to escape. However, Yi Xian had slapped him in the face. Qin Tian spoke in a low voice, "Let's return to the Dao sect." As soon as he finished speaking, he led the group away. In next to no time, Qin Tian led the group to the Dao sect once more. Heavenly Master Li appeared before Qin Tian. "Guardian Qin, did you capture Yi Xian?" Qin Tian's expression was rather unsightly. Heavenly Master Li's face sank. "You let him escape again?" Qin Tian nodded. "Yes. Brother Li, can you let your master make a move again?" Heavenly Master Li smiled bitterly. "Brother Qin, you saw my master's state with your own eyes. He's already suffering from a backlash. If he's not careful, his life will be in danger. If he were to make a move again now, he'll definitely die. Furthermore, with his current state, even if he makes a move, he might not be able to find out Yi Xian's whereabouts." Qin Tian said in a low voice, "Is it really that serious?" Heavenly Master Li pointed to the pool of blood on the ground. "Brother Qin, look. This is blood essence. You don't know how powerful that formation is. You should also know that prying into the heavenly secrets will cause you to be targeted by the Tendo. Sai, it's not easy in our line of work." Qin Tian's face twitched as he looked at Heavenly Master Li. Heavenly Master Li said again, "Brother Qin, it's not that Master doesn't want to help, but he's really powerless right now." Qin Tian said in a low voice, "When will Sect Leader Mo recover?" Heavenly Master Li thought for a moment before saying, 2 months. Qin Tian nodded. "We'll look for Sect Leader Mo in 2 months. With that, he turned around and left with everyone. Heavenly Master Li instantly heaved a sigh of relief when he saw Qin Tian and the others leave. If the Order Alliance were to go head-on, then the Liang Dao sect would definitely be no match for them. However, 2 months from now, Heavenly Master Li frowned deeply when he thought up to this point. After Qin Tian and the others left the Liang Dao sect, the black-robed old man suddenly said, "Guardian Qin, I think there's something wrong with Heavenly Master Li." Qin Tian said indifferently, "Are you trying to say that they don't want to help us?" The black-robed old man nodded. "I have that feeling." Qin Tian said softly, "What's the reason? What reason do they have to help Yi Xian?" The black-robed old man fell silent. Qin Tian said in a low voice, "Our Order Alliance is in need of manpower now. We need to do our best to rope in the Liang Dao sect and not offend them so that they can side with the Tang clan." The black-robed old man nodded. "Understood." Tendo Qin said, "We'll come again in 2 months. When that time comes, he shouldn't have any more excuses. Tell our people not to go out and look for that person. I'm going back. Also, keep an eye on the Tang clan at all times. That treasure can be in Yi Xian's hands, but it can't be in the Tang clan's hands." After saying that, he quickly disappeared not too far away. The black-robed old man and the others also disappeared. Hundreds of thousands of miles to the right of the Order City, there was a small mountain with a pool on it. As the small mountain was a volcano, the temperature of the pool was very high, just like boiling water. There was an invisible light screen around the pool that enveloped the entire pool. Strange energy flickered around the light screen. Clearly it was an array formation. In the middle of the pool sat a woman with her legs crossed. The woman's long hair was like a waterfall, her eyebrows were like swords, and there was a small mole at the corner of her mouth. She was very beautiful. The water in the pool was already boiling, but the woman's body was completely fine. Beneath the ground, some mysterious energy was gathering towards the woman. The woman's body was frantically absorbing the energy. Gradually, her body began to tremble and her brows furrowed. Obviously, it was a critical moment. At this moment, a figure suddenly landed in front of the woman. What? Water splashed everywhere. Pfft. The woman suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. She opened her eyes and saw a man standing in front of her. The man was about 20 years old, wearing a blue and white robe, and there was a sheathed sword hanging on his waist. The man was naturally Yi Xian. After he activated the teleportation stone just now, he felt dizzy. That feeling was very uncomfortable. He wanted to vomit. At this moment, Yi Xian looked in front of him. When he saw the woman in front of him, he was instantly stunned. So beautiful. That was Yi Xian's first impression. Of course, that was not the point. The point was that the woman was naked. At this moment, Yi Xian could not help but sigh. She was really beautiful. However, after taking a look, he closed his eyes tightly. One should not be a pervert. Yi Xian would not take advantage of others' difficulties. Of course, the problem he had to consider now was how to resolve this misunderstanding. Yi Xian said very seriously, "Miss, if I say that this is a misunderstanding, would you believe me?" The woman looked at Yi Xian, did not speak, nor did she move. There was a flow of energy flowing in her body. Yi Xian said again, "Miss, you should quickly put on your clothes." "Don't worry, I've already closed my eyes. I can't see anything. Really, I can't see anything." Chapter 565. The woman still did not speak. She just looked at Yi Xian calmly. She did not feel embarrassed or angry that a man had seen her naked. Yi Xian saw that the atmosphere was not right. He cupped his fists and said, "Miss, this was indeed an accident. I did not see anything. We will meet again." With that, he turned around and left. The moment he turned around, the woman behind him suddenly threw a punch at his back. Fast. Like a ferocious tiger pouncing on its prey. Sensing the woman's sudden attack, Yi Xian turned around and blocked with his arms. Bang! Yi Xian was instantly thrown dozens of feet away. After stopping, Yi Xian's expression became extremely serious. Because at that moment, his arms had cracked. Not only that, his internal organs felt very uncomfortable, as if they had been torn apart. What a strong force. Yi Xian raised his head and looked not far away. At that moment, the woman had already put on her clothes. The woman was wearing a tight white dress with a purple ribbon tied around her waist, which made her figure appear even more graceful and fiery. The woman's beauty was not the same as other women's. Her eyebrows were like swords, her body was straight, and there was a sense of heroism in her beauty. The woman slowly walked towards Yi Xian. Yi Xian forcefully suppressed the discomfort in his heart and said in a low voice, "Miss, this is a misunderstanding." The woman did not speak. She slowly clenched her right hand. As she clenched her fist, Yi Xian suddenly felt an invisible pressure. So strong. Yi Xian's expression became more and more serious. This woman actually gave him a feeling that he was invincible. This was aura. The pressure that came from her aura. Just as Yi Xian was about to draw his sword, Tang Qing's voice suddenly sounded, "Ask her if her name is Zhao Mu." Yi Xian hesitated, then looked at the woman, "Are you Zhao Mu?" The woman stopped and frowned slightly. She still did not speak, but there was a trace of doubt in her eyes. Tang Qing said softly, "It should be him. I advise you to run away quickly." Yi Xian did not understand. Why? Tang Qing said, "Have you heard of the law rank?" Yi Xian shook his head. Tang Qing said, "The so-called law rankings are the most valuable rankings in the entire Chaosverse. Of course, that's aside from the unknown divine kingdom. There were 10 people on the law rank and it was updated every year. In order to be on the list, there were 2 requirements. The first was that one had to be a Dao realm expert, and the second was that one had to be below the age of 25. The person before you is Zhao Mu, ranked 3rd on the law rank. Thirdly, do you know what that means? Yes, she at least knew about the realm of dreams now. She is also the type that can challenge those of a higher level. Yi Xian said solemnly, "Can't I beat him?" Tang Qing said calmly, "No, you're so powerful, how could you lose? However, Uncle Yi, do you think it's meaningful to fight with her? Moreover, the power behind this person isn't weak either. Do you really want to become enemies with the entire world? Yi Xian smiled sheepishly. That's true. There's no point in fighting him. After saying that, he turned and ran. Seeing Yi Xian run, Zhao Mu frowned. The next moment, she tapped the ground with her toes and disappeared into the distance like an arrow. At the end of the horizon, Yi Xian frowned when he sensed Zhao Mu chasing after him. This woman isn't going to let me go. Tang Qing said calmly. Who told you to look at her body? Yi Xian said, I didn't do it on purpose. Tang Qing said, I'll cut off your head and say it wasn't on purpose. Is that okay? Yi Xian was speechless. At this moment, Zhao Mu suddenly sped up. Yi Xian didn't stop and continued to run. He didn't mind fighting with this woman, but he was afraid that this would attract the attention of the Orderly Order Alliance and the Tang clan. If that happened, it wouldn't be a one-on-one fight but a group fight. It didn't take long for Yi Xian to arrive above an ocean, but Zhao Mu still hadn't left. Right at this moment, Zhao Mu suddenly stopped. She gazed at the ray of light in the sky, and then she slowly closed her eyes. After a moment of silence, she took a step forward. Something seemed to have been torn apart here. In the next moment, a figure descended in front of Yi Xian. It was Zhao Mu. Yi Xian's expression changed when he witnessed this scene. What sort of speed is that? Zhao Mu gazed at Yi Xian, and then she didn't waste her breath and just smashed her fist forward. This punch caused the space in front of Yi Xian to be instantly torn apart. Yi Xian didn't dare act carelessly when he saw this, and he immediately drew his sword and slashed. Bang! The ray of light instantly collapsed, and then Yi Xian was blasted 300 m back. When he stopped moving, the space around him had split apart completely. Yi Xian's expression gradually turned solemn when he witnessed this scene. This woman's strength was not just an ordinary level of strength. Meanwhile, Zhao Mu suddenly raised her right hand towards the sky. In an instant, dark clouds covered the sky while countless bolts of lightning converged. In the next moment, she suddenly clenched her right hand. Swish! A bolt of lightning suddenly shot down from the sky and descended onto her fist. A bolt of lightning traversed the heavens and the earth. Yi Xian's eyelids twitched when he witnessed this scene. What technique is that? It seems quite formidable. At this moment, Zhao Mu suddenly took a step forward. As soon as he did so, a bolt of lightning instantly appeared in front of Yi Xian. It was impossible to dodge. This time Yi Xian didn't dare act carelessly. He tightened his grip on the sword in his right hand, and a strand of mysterious energy suddenly converged into his sword. Dragon energy. Yi Xian held the sword in his right hand and swung it down. A ray of golden sword energy slashed down in a straight line. Rumble. The space in the surroundings suddenly shook violently, and then Yi Xian retreated repeatedly. Zhao Mu was just about to follow up with another attack when two flying swords suddenly slashed towards her. Her brows knit together slightly, and she raised her arms horizontally. Bang! The sword struck her arms, but she only moved around 3 m back. Moreover, her clothes weren't even torn apart. Yi Xian's expression turned slightly unsightly when he witnessed this scene. Is she really that monstrous? At this moment, his entire body felt limp and numb. If his sword hadn't blocked most of the energy of the lightning, then he might have been reduced to a dried corpse by now. Tang Qing spoke abruptly. Do you think that you're the only monstrous genius in the younger generation? Yi Xian was about to speak when Zhao Mu suddenly vanished. Yi Xian frowned slightly, and then his figure flashed to the side. A bolt of lightning brushed past his chest, and then he drew his sword and swung it horizontally. This slash struck Zhao Mu's stomach. However, it wasn't able to break through Zhao Mu's body. It was like it had struck a piece of divine metal at the Dao realm. Yi Xian was about to withdraw his sword as soon as it failed to break through Zhao Mu's defenses. However, Zhao Mu suddenly raised her knee and struck him. Yi Xian hurriedly raised his sword horizontally to block it. Bang! Yi Xian retreated 1,000 feet in an instant. Moreover, his expression had turned extremely unsightly when he stopped, because the Creation Realm sword in his hand had actually bent. But that was a sword at the Creation Realm. Zhao Mu was about to attack again when Yi Xian suddenly said, "Stop for a moment." However, Zhao Mu didn't stop. She arrived in front of Yi Xian again and launched a side kick at Yi Xian's head. The space around Yi Xian collapsed as soon as he threw the kick. Yi Xian was shocked. He didn't take the kick head-on, and he flashed backwards 300 m instead. However, he hadn't even stopped when an afterimage suddenly charged towards him. Everywhere the afterimage passed, the space collapsed inch by inch. Yi Xian frowned. This time he didn't retreat. He suddenly and mysteriously disappeared. In the next moment, countless flying swords instantly engulfed Zhao Mu. There was a moment of silence. Bang! Those flying swords suddenly collapsed, but in the next moment, another flying sword slashed towards him. Zhao Mu blocked with her arm. Bang! She instantly retreated over 30 m, but before she could stop, another flying sword slashed towards her. Just like that, Zhao Mu instantly retreated over 600 m. Flying swords crisscrossed all around her, one after another, not giving Zhao Mu any chance to catch her breath. However, these flying swords weren't able to do anything to Zhao Mu. Her physical body was too strong. At this moment, Zhao Mu's right palm suddenly pressed downwards. In the next moment she suddenly lifted it up. Bang! A powerful force suddenly exploded from her palm. In an instant, the space around her exploded, and Yi Xian's flying swords vanished without a trace. A few breaths of time later, the space around them returned to normal. At this moment, they were 300 m apart. Zhao Mu gazed at Yi Xian, clenched her right hand and was about to attack. However, Yi Xian suddenly said, "Wait." As he spoke with a serious expression. "Miss, do you know who I am?" Zhao Mu gazed at Yi Xian in silence. Yi Xian said, "Let me tell you, I'm from the Order Alliance. Have you heard of the Order Alliance?" "You." His voice stopped abruptly. Because Zhao Mu had suddenly charged towards him, but countless flying swords blocked her path in the next moment. Zhao Mu smashed her fist forward. A few breaths of time later, all the flying swords had vanished. However, at the moment Yi Xian was gone. Zhao Mu's beautiful brows knit together slightly when she witnessed this scene. She glanced at the surroundings and her divine sense spread out like a net. However, she still didn't notice anything. After a moment of silence, she suddenly slapped her palm forward. Rumble. Where her palm landed, the space began to collapse inch by inch. In the blink of an eye, the space within a radius of 1000 m had collapsed. When the space was restored by the laws of heaven and earth, Zhao Mu was already gone. Zhao Mu arrived at the Order City. She glanced at the 3 words Order City on the city gate, and in the next moment she punched through the air. Boom! The entire city wall in front of her was directly smashed by her punch. Countless people in the Order City were shocked. Zhao Mu walked into the city and finally she arrived at the city lord's mansion. Lu Shibai walked out and when he saw Zhao Mu, he frowned slightly. "Your Excellency." Before she could finish her sentence, Zhao Mu, who was in front of her, suddenly punched out. In an instant, countless lightning bolts bombarded the city lord's mansion like a storm. Lu Shibai's expression changed greatly, and his figure trembled as he retreated. Rumble. In an instant, the entire city lord's mansion turned into ashes. Not far away, Lu Shibai's expression changed greatly, and he looked at Zhao Mu in horror. What terrifying strength! Meanwhile, a black-robed old man suddenly appeared in front of Zhao Mu. The black-robed old man stared fixedly at Zhao Mu. "Your Excellency, who are you? How dare you cause trouble in the Order Alliance's territory? Are you tired of living?" Zhao Mu looked at the black-robed old man, and in the next moment she suddenly vanished. Inch by inch, the space here collapsed. "P.S. Do you have tickets? I've been thinking a lot lately and I feel that I should ask for monthly tickets. Only by asking for monthly tickets will I have motivation, a huge motivation. Of course, I don't care about monthly tickets. Monthly tickets and rewards are nothing to me. What I care about is motivation. Yes, motivation. Conclusion. I want tickets for motivation. Asking for tickets. Asking for tickets. Chapter 566. The black-robed old man's expression instantly changed when he saw Zhao Mu attack. Who's that woman? That thought had just appeared in the black-robed old man's mind when Zhao Mu appeared in front of him, and then a powerful force blasted towards him. The black-robed old man's expression was icy cold. He didn't shrink back and he smashed his fist towards Zhao Mu as well. He was very confident in this punch. After all, he was a knowledge realm expert. How could he possibly lose to such a young woman? However, he regretted it when Zhao Mu's fist collided with his fist. Crack. The sound of bones breaking resounded abruptly, and then the black-robed old man was pushed over 100 m back. As soon as he stopped, the ground beneath his feet was instantly blasted into powder. The expressions of the experts of the Order Alliance in the surroundings instantly became extremely solemn when they witnessed this scene. On the other hand, the black-robed old man's expression had become solemn as well. His entire right arm had been blasted into pieces, and even his internal organs had cracked apart. The might of a single punch was so terrifying. He'd actually lost completely in that collision just now. The black-robed old man gazed at Zhao Mu. "Who exactly are you?" Meanwhile, Lu Shibai spoke abruptly. "She's Zhao Mu. Zhao Mu. The black-robed old man's pupils constricted slightly. Zhao Mu, the disciple of the Southern Sect's martial master. The Southern Sect's martial master. He was an extremely terrifying person, and even the Order Alliance had to treat him with caution. Because he was ranked second on the Dao rankings 100 years ago, and he'd even become an extraordinary martial saint at that time. He was the youngest extraordinary martial saint in the last 10,000 years besides the founding ancestor of the Wuyan Zhou Yafu. Now he could be said to be unfathomable. There were 6 exalts in the world right now and the Star Lord was one of them. The Southern Sect's martial master was another one. Even the Order Alliance didn't dare to rashly offend such a figure. The black-robed old man spoke in a low voice. Miss Mu, I presume there's a reason you attacked my Order Alliance, right? Zhao Mu pressed her fingers together and drew lightly on the ground, and it didn't take long for 2 words to appear on the ground. Swordsman. The black-robed old man frowned slightly. Swordsman? What do you mean, Miss Mu? Zhao Mu pressed her fingers together again and 2 words appeared on the ground. Come out. The swordsman is out? The black-robed old man glanced at Lu Shibai, who was not far away. The latter said in a deep voice, Miss Mu, are you saying that a swordsman from my Order Alliance has offended you? Zhao Mu nodded and waved her finger. Another line of words appeared on the ground. Let him out. Lu Shibai looked at the black-robed old man. The black-robed old man spoke in a deep voice. Although our Order Alliance has swordsmen, he hasn't appeared here. Moreover, those 2 old fellows are in closed-door cultivation. At this time, Zhao Mu pointed with his fingers again and another word appeared on the ground. Young. A young swordsman? The black-robed old man was stunned. In the next moment, he seemed to have thought of something, and he hurriedly waved his right hand, causing an illusory portrait to appear before him. The person in the portrait was Yi Xian. The black-robed elder asked, Miss Mu, is it this person? Zhao Mu nodded. The black-robed old man spoke in a low voice. Miss Mu, he isn't a member of my Order Alliance. Zhao Mu's brows furrowed slightly, and his expression was unfriendly. The black-robed old man hurriedly said, Miss Mu, the old man didn't lie to you. This Yi Xian really isn't a member of our Order Alliance, and we've been looking for him everywhere. At this point he seemed to have thought of something and looked at Zhao Mu. He told you that he's a member of our Order Alliance? Zhao Mu nodded. Hearing this, the black-robed old man's face instantly turned ugly. This is framing. At this time, Zhao Mu turned around and left. The black-robed old man hurriedly asked, Miss Mu, did he offend you? Zhao Mu didn't answer and continued walking forward. The black-robed old man suddenly appeared in front of Zhao Mu. Miss Mu, our Order Alliance is also looking for him. Why don't we join forces? If they could pull Zhao Mu in, it would undoubtedly be a great thing for the Order Alliance. Zhao Mu glanced at the black-robed old man and didn't speak. She continued walking forward. The black-robed old man appeared in front of Zhao Mu again, and at this time, Zhao Mu suddenly punched out. The black-robed old man's face changed greatly, and he used his left hand to block. Bang! The black-robed old man instantly retreated 100 zhang. At this moment, his entire left arm also cracked, and at the same time, a word appeared on the ground in front of him. Annoying. The black-robed old man. After Zhao Mu left, the black-robed old man's face was extremely cold. This damned Yi Xian. As he spoke, he looked at his right arm and there was nothing there. Seeing this, the black-robed old man's face gradually became somewhat malevolent. Not far away, Lu Shibai glanced at the black-robed old man, and no one knew what he was thinking. On a certain island, Yi Xian sat cross-legged on the ground, and at this moment he was madly devouring god crystals. One had to admit that Zhao Mu's strength was very strong, and in the previous battle, he had consumed too much energy. At this time, Tang Qing appeared in front of Yi Xian, and she glanced at Yi Xian. I discovered a secret. Yi Xian was a little curious. What secret? Tang Qing said indifferently, your strength. Yi Xian frowned. I don't really understand. Tang Qing shook her head. Fang Xiun seems to be at a disadvantage, but in fact that is not the case because you have not used your real killer move. And those trump cards of yours, basically, once you use them, people will die, such as that sword of yours. As far as I know, that sword of yours is aimed at the soul. When Fang Xiun and that woman fought, if you use this sword, although her body is strong, her soul may not be strong. Once she forcibly withstood your sword, you are confident that you can kill her, right? Yi Xian nodded. If she doesn't have a trump card, this sword will definitely kill her. However, if I have a trump card, how can others not have a trump card? Don't you think so? Tang Qing laughed. You have tender feelings for the fairer sex. Yi Xian shook his head. First of all, I don't have any deep grudge against her. Strictly speaking, I was in the wrong first. Second, I don't have the confidence to kill her. What good will it do me if I continue to fight with her and both of you get hurt? No, not at all. Third, if this person can reach this level, the force behind him must not be weak. If I kill her, it will undoubtedly bring disaster to myself. What do you think? Tang Qing said indifferently. He will not let you go. Yi Xian laughed. Miss Tang, let's change the topic. For example, I want to know, will the Tang clan come to save you? Tang Qing was expressionless. What do you think? Yi Xian laughed. It depends on Miss Tang's importance. Tang Qing sat on the side. If you want to use me to threaten the Tang clan, then you are gravely mistaken. Yi Xian asked, why? Tang Qing said indifferently, the family's interests come first. Yi Xian frowned slightly, they will sacrifice you? Tang Qing laughed, what do you think? Yi Xian suddenly laughed, don't be so decisive. Let us wait and see whether Miss Tang is important to the family or not. Tang Qing glanced at Yi Xian but did not speak. Yi Xian also did not speak again, continuing to devour the divine crystals. Just like this, about 2 hours later, Yi Xian had more or less recovered. He got up and looked at Tang Qing not far away. Just as he was about to speak, the space above their heads suddenly split open. A giant hand slammed down from the split space. Yi Xian's eyes narrowed slightly and he pointed with his fingers. Buzz! A light soared into the sky, directly slashing at the giant hand. The entire boulder was directly split in two, and at this time, a figure swooped down from the sky. Yi Xian frowned slightly and he lightly slashed with his fingers. A light slashed diagonally over his head. Boom! A loud noise rang out and the figure retreated dozens of feet to the left. It was a young man about 20 years old. The young man stared fixedly at Yi Xian, and he was about to speak, but at this time, a flying sword suddenly appeared in front of him. The young man's face changed and he dodged to the side, directly dodging the flying sword, but in the next moment, a sword silently appeared behind him. Sensing this flying sword, the young man was shocked and he forcefully dodged to the side, but it was still a little too late, and the sword directly cut off his right arm. On the right, the young man had just stopped when a sword suddenly appeared in front of him. The young man's pupils suddenly shrank, and at this moment, he knew that he was finished. But just when the sword was half an inch away from his eyebrows, it suddenly stopped. It was unknown when an old man had appeared beside the young man, and his hand was holding onto the flying sword. Yi Xian looked at the old man, and the old man wore a luxurious robe, and his aura was restrained, and he could not see the depth of his aura. The old man glanced coldly at the young man. You overestimate yourself. Now you know the gap between you and others? The young man's face was a little ugly, but he did not dare to reply. The old man turned to look at Yi Xian not far away, as expected of the person who gave the order alliance and the sword sect a headache. You're really not ordinary. Yi Xian looked at Tang Qing. Is he from your Tang clan? Tang Qing shook his head. Yi Xian asked again, from the order alliance? Tang Qing shook his head again. Yi Xian still wanted to ask, but Tang Qing suddenly said, Qin clan. Qin clan? Yi Xian was stunned, and then he was a little startled. From what I remember, I have never offended any Qin clan. Tang Qing said indifferently, Qin clan has an engagement with my Tang clan. Yi Xian was slightly stunned and soon he turned to look at the two old men not far away. Are you here to save her? The old man said indifferently, Yi Xian, this old man does not want to talk nonsense with you. We want this woman. Yi Xian frowned slightly. You're not here to save her. As he spoke, he looked at Tang Qing and the latter said indifferently, I've been captured by you. How can the world think that I'm innocent? Hearing this, Yi Xian understood. This Qin clan is not here to save but to kill. Yi Xian said in a deep voice, your Tang clan allows them to kill you? Tang Qing smiled. Since they're here, it proves that I've been abandoned. Do you understand? Yi Xian went silent for a moment and then looked at the old man. Sir, actually Miss Tang and I are innocent. Really, we've never touched each other's hands. Yi Xian. At this time, the young man not far away suddenly roared, You're courting death. Yi Xian ignored the young man and looked at Tang Qing instead. They don't believe me, I'm finished. My innocence has been ruined by you. Tang Qing's eyelids twitched and just as she was about to speak, the young man not far away suddenly glared at her. Slut, why don't you go die? You're ruining my Qin clan's reputation, ruining my own. Your mother is the lowest servant of the Tang clan, you're also lowly. Tang Qing looked at Yi Xian and her eyes were like silk. You were really amazing last night, my bones turned soft. I want more tonight. Yi Xian. Chapter 567. Hearing Tang Qing's words, the young man's face turned livid. He was about to speak when the old man said coldly, "What a disgrace." The young man looked at the old man, "Second uncle." The old man looked at the young man coldly. Anger is the expression of a coward. The young man did not dare to talk back and could only glare at Tang Qing not far away. The old man looked at Tang Qing. "Miss Tang Qing, this old man hopes you can understand." Tang Qing smiled. "You want to kill me? Do you need me to understand?" The old man said indifferently, "If you want to blame someone, blame yourself. You originally had a respected position in the Tang clan and even had a marriage alliance with my Qing clan, but you were captured by this Yi Xian. Forgive this old man for being blunt. For the reputation of my Qing clan and your Tang clan, you should choose to commit suicide." Tang Qing smiled. Next to them, Yi Xian was silent. Tang Qing suddenly smiled. "Reputation? Ah." There was a trace of sadness in his laughter. The old man's face was cold. "Your Tang clan's elders have spoken. If you die, they will definitely kill Yi Xian to avenge you. Not only that, you are also the eldest miss of the Tang clan. You can have a grand funeral and even enter the Tang clan's Hall of Heroes." Tang Qing shook his head and smiled. "What if I don't commit suicide?" The old man looked at Tang Qing. "Then you are a traitor of the Tang clan." Tang Qing was silent. At this time, Yi Xian suddenly asked, "How did you find me?" The old man looked at Yi Xian coldly. "Do you really think your concealment technique is invincible?" Yi Xian said with a smile, "You found me, but you didn't bring any strong Tangs with you. Something is wrong with you." The old man narrowed his eyes. "What do you mean?" Yi Xian looked around and laughed. "No, I don't mean anything." The old man ignored Yi Xian and looked at Tang Qing. "Have you made your choice?" Tang Qing said softly, "My sister." The old man said, "Don't worry, the Tang clan will not implicate anyone." Tang Qing nodded. "Understood." As soon as she finished speaking, she raised her head and looked at the sky. There the sun was setting. Tang Qing smiled slightly. "All these years, I've never found the sunset to be so beautiful." As soon as she finished speaking, she suddenly slapped her forehead with her right hand. Just as she was about to slap herself on the forehead, a sword suddenly blocked her hand. The one who attacked was Yi Xian. Tang Qing looked at Yi Xian. Yi Xian shook his head and smiled. "Miss Tang Qing, you're really stupid." Tang Qing looked at Yi Xian and did not say anything. Yi Xian smiled and said, "Reputation? Family honor? Let me ask you, if the Qin family wants you dead so badly, why do you still care about their reputation? And the Tang clan wants to sacrifice you for a so-called reputation. Is it worth it for you to die for such a clan?" Tang Qing smiled and said, "Young Master Yi, what do you think I should do?" Yi Xian smiled embarrassedly. "I've never thought about that." Tang Qing smiled lightly. As he said, "This is already the best ending for me. At least, I can still leave a good reputation, right?" Yi Xian shook his head. "You're wrong." Tang Qing looked at Yi Xian. Yi Xian said seriously, "Reputation and whatnot, it's all fleeting. In my opinion, how others treat me, I will treat others the same way. The Qin family wants you dead for their so-called reputation, and your Tang clan wants you dead for their so-called reputation and honor. This is bullshit. In their hearts, you're not even comparable to reputation and honor. And you want to fulfill their so-called reputation and honor. Ask yourself, do you think it's worth it?" Tang Qing looked at Yi Xian. "If one day Wuyuan treats your sister like this?" Yi Xian said calmly, "I will definitely kill everyone in Wuyuan." Tang Qing looked at Yi Xian and didn't say anything. Yi Xian said again, "My sister can fight for Wuyuan, even die in battle, because she is a student of Wuyuan. If Wuyuan is in trouble, she can't run, let alone betray Wuyuan. This is her responsibility. But if Wuyuan uses this method to kill her, I won't agree." Tang Qing shook his head. "Your sister has a brother who can do anything for her, but I don't." Yi Xian said, "Then you need to control your fate in your own hands." Tang Qing was about to speak, but at this moment, the young man not far away suddenly said fiercely, "Are you done?" Yi Xian suddenly turned around, and the next moment, a flying sword suddenly slashed at the young man. The old man's expression changed and he flicked his sleeves. Boom. The flying sword was directly blocked. The old man looked at Yi Xian and was about to speak, but suddenly, a voice came from the side. "Be careful, this is an illusion." As soon as the voice fell, the old man suddenly turned around, and the head of the young man beside him flew out. Blood spurted out like a fountain. Seeing this scene, the old man was stunned and of course he was more afraid. As for the young man, his eyes were wide open, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. He didn't expect to die like this. Yi Xian looked at the young man coldly. Don't interrupt when I speak. After saying that, he looked at the old man not far away. The old man's expression changed and he retreated hundreds of feet, distancing himself from Yi Xian. At this moment, 6 old men appeared around Yi Xian. The weakest was at the Genesis Dao realm. 3 of them were even at the Knowledge realm. Yi Xian looked at Tang Qing. Are there any experts from the Tang clan? Tang Qing glanced at the 6 of them and shook his head. No. Yi Xian roared with laughter. You found my whereabouts but you didn't notify the Tang clan. Looks like you want to take that treasure for yourself. The old man's eyes narrowed. We don't want to take that treasure for ourselves. We just want to obtain it first and then give it to the Tang clan. Yi Xian shook his head. Do you believe what you just said? A wisp of killing intent flashed through the old man's eyes. As soon as he finished speaking, the 6 experts around him were about to attack. Meanwhile, Yi Xian suddenly said, Wait. The old man frowned slightly. Yi Xian spoke seriously, I'm willing to hand over that treasure. The old man was stunned. You are willing to hand over that treasure? Yi Xian nodded. Yes. The old man stared fixedly at Yi Xian and didn't speak. Yi Xian said, I'm serious. The old man laughed savagely. Do you think this old man is an idiot? As he spoke, he gazed at the experts of the Qin clan. Attack together. Don't give him any chance. As he spoke, the 7 of them charged at Yi Xian. The old man was very clearly aware that Yi Xian was definitely playing tricks. The best way was to kill Yi Xian. That way, no matter what tricks Yi Xian was playing, it would be useless. Yi Xian's expression changed when he saw the 7 of them charge at him. He hadn't expected the old man to be so decisive. 1 against 7? Of course he couldn't defeat them. Yi Xian suddenly turned to look at Tang Qing. Quickly notify the experts of the Tang clan. Tell them that the Qin clan has betrayed us. As he spoke, he tapped with his finger, and a transmission talisman descended before Tang Qing. Tang Qing glanced at Yi Xian, and then she pinched the voice transmission talisman lightly, causing it to vanish instantly. After that, she looked at the experts of the Qin clan and said, They'll be here soon. The experts of the Qin clan stopped moving. The old man who led the group had an extremely unsightly expression on his face. He stared fixedly at Yi Xian and laughed fiercely. Do you think you can turn the situation around just like that? Kill. Quickly kill him. As soon as he finished speaking, the 7 of them attacked in unison. Yi Xian suddenly placed Tang Qing within the pagoda, and then he took his sword with both hands and swung it forward. At this moment he'd immediately utilized Dragon Soul, Dragon Energy and Emoku Energy. His sword had only just swung down. Bang! Yi Xian's figure was instantly blasted flying. This flight covered a distance of several thousand feet. As soon as Yang Yi stopped moving, the experts in front of him were about to attack again. Meanwhile, Yi Xian suddenly pointed the soul-suppressing sword forward. Split! As soon as he spoke, the soul-suppressing sword trembled violently, and then a mysterious force flashed. In the next moment, one of the experts of the Qin clan who was charging at the front had suddenly stopped while terror filled his eyes. The others had stopped as well and they gazed at that expert. Meanwhile, that expert's eyes had lost all color. His soul was gone. All the experts of the Qin clan exchanged glances when they witnessed this scene, and there was a wisp of shock and fear in their eyes. His soul was gone with just a single attack. All of them gazed at Yi Xian. Yi Xian's face was slightly pale, but he stood ramrod straight like a sharp sword that was about to be unsheathed. Meanwhile, the old man who led the group from the Qin clan spoke abruptly. He suffered backlash. Quickly kill him. Quickly. Suddenly Yi Xian pointed his sword at a Dao Genesis realm expert who wasn't too far away from him. Split him up. As soon as he finished speaking, the expression of that expert who was pointed at by Yi Xian's sword instantly changed drastically, and he retreated like a madman. However, he'd only taken a few steps back when he felt like something within him was slowly vanishing. His soul. He spoke with terror. Safe. He hadn't even finished speaking when his figure suddenly froze on the spot, and then his eyes lost focus at a visible speed. The expressions of the others here instantly changed when they witnessed this scene. He instantly killed another Dao realm expert? All of them gazed at Yi Xian, and there was dense fear in their eyes this time. Even the eyes of the old man who led the group were filled with fear, and he glanced at the sword in Yi Xian's hand. There's something strange about that sword. Was strange. All of them gazed at the sword in Yi Xian's hand. The soul-suppressing sword. Yi Xian grinned. There's nothing strange about it. It's true. I've suffered backlash and I can't even launch a single attack. Quickly attack me. The corners of the old man's eyes twitched when he heard Yi Xian, and he stared fixedly at Yi Xian. A short while passed before he suddenly gazed at the experts of the Qin clan. He's definitely suffering backlash. Let's join forces together and kill him. As soon as he finished speaking, he intended to charge forward. However, it didn't take long for him to notice that besides himself, no one else had moved. The old man was stunned for a moment and then he said furiously, "He's exhausted. Now is the best time to kill him." All of them glanced at each other. Right when they were hesitating, Yi Xian suddenly cried out. Everyone looked at Yi Xian. Yi Xian wiped off the cold sweat on his face and said, I've suffered backlash. I don't have any strength left. You guys quickly come and hit me. I'm really not lying to all of you. I'm begging all of you. Hit me. My skin is really itching." Everyone was speechless. P.S. There was an earthquake last night and there were obvious aftershocks in Guiyang as well. I sincerely hope that everyone will be safe. I also hope that there will be no more disasters in the world. Humans are really weak in the face of natural disasters. Most of the time, when we look up at the starry sky and think about it seriously, we humans are really insignificant. I don't know much about the universe. I only know that it's huge, extremely huge, extremely huge. Let's not talk about that. Let's talk about something more realistic. Please subscribe. I hope that the readers of Zongheng will support me by subscribing. In my heart, I still want to make money. Sweat. Will they think that I'm too vulgar? Chapter 568. The expressions of the experts from the Qin clan had instantly become unsightly when they witnessed this scene. It seemed like Yi Xian was intentionally baiting them to attack. Meanwhile, the old man who led the group from the Qin clan spoke furiously, "He's just putting on an act." As soon as he finished speaking, he turned around to look at Yi Xian who stood nearby. "You can deceive them, but you can't deceive the old man." As he spoke, he charged towards Yi Xian. Suddenly Yi Xian stood up, and he pointed the soul-suppressing sword at the old man. The old man's expression instantly changed drastically, and he hurriedly stopped and retreated over 100 m back. All the others were speechless. The old man gazed at Yi Xian. Even though he was fine, he was still quite terrified. Yi Xian's attack was too mysterious. Moreover, his intuition told him that Yi Xian was definitely an arrow at the end of its flight, and he just had to press down lightly to destroy Yi Xian. However, he was afraid as well. He was afraid that Yi Xian still had the ability to attack again. However, he was very clearly aware that this might be the best opportunity for him. When he thought up to this point, he was about to attack. Meanwhile, Yi Xian suddenly roared furiously, "All of you get over here." His roar was like a thunderclap. All of them looked at Yi Xian. Yi Xian's face was pale and carried a trace of ferocity. He seemed like a wild beast that had gone mad. The old man who led the group from the Qin clan spoke abruptly, "If all of us are suppressed by him, then we'll definitely develop inner demons in the future, and we won't be able to advance by even half an inch." All of them fell silent when they heard this. Just as the old man had said, if they were suppressed by a little kid, then it wouldn't just be bad for their reputation, they would become timid as well. Moreover, it was very likely that their timid hearts would become inner demons. All of them exchanged glances when they thought up to here, and then they charged towards Yi Xian. Yi Xian's face was emotionless as he held the soul-suppressing sword tightly in his right hand, and a strand of formidable energy condensed within his right arm. Right at this moment, several powerful auras suddenly appeared in the distant horizon. The experts of the Qin clan stopped in succession when they saw this scene. The old man in the lead glanced at the sky, and his expression instantly became unsightly. An expert of the Tang clan. At this moment, Yi Xian, who was not far away, suddenly said, "I surrender." The Qin family's experts looked at Yi Xian. In between Yi Xian's brows, an illusory Xiaota suddenly appeared. Then that illusory Xiaota floated in front of the Qin family's experts. The people of the Qin clan were stunned. What was this Yi Xian up to? But soon, everyone's eyes fell on the Xiaota in front of them. Looking at this Xiaota, the expressions of the Qin clan and the others instantly became extremely solemn. Of course, there was even more desire and greed. At this moment, an expert from the Qin clan suddenly looked at the old man in the lead. "Qin Ming, are you going to take it or not?" The old man called Qin Ming suddenly became clear-headed. The experts of the Tang clan were about to arrive. Should he take it or not? An instant later, Qin Ming grabbed the World Prison Pagoda. "Let's go." As soon as he finished speaking, the people of the Qin clan turned and ran. At this moment, the experts of the Tang clan arrived. Yi Xian suddenly roared angrily, "Qin clan thieves, return my treasure." As he finished speaking, he pointed towards the distance and roared angrily, but he didn't chase. This time the experts from the Tang clan were Yuelao and Lin Mu. The two of them glanced at Yi Xian, then looked at the horizon. Their expressions were extremely ugly. They had seen Qin Ming take the treasure with their own eyes. Lin Mu said solemnly, "Is the Qin clan rebelling?" Yuelao's face sank. "Chase." As he spoke, he seemed to have thought of something. He looked at Yi Xian and saw Yi Xian's weak appearance. His killing intent rose. Yi Xian said indifferently, "If you don't chase, that treasure might fall into the hands of the Order Alliance." Hearing this, Yuelao fiercely glared at Yi Xian. "Just you wait." As soon as he finished speaking, he and Lin Mu disappeared into the horizon. Not long after the two of them disappeared, another group of experts flew over Yi Xian's head. The experts of the Order Alliance. Yi Xian shook his head with a smile, then turned and left. Very quickly he found a quiet place, sat down cross-legged and started to heal his injuries. As for the World Prison Pagoda, it really wasn't in his possession. However, he wasn't worried at all. The self-protection ability of this broken pagoda wasn't just an ordinary level. Moreover, there was the 6th floor and the Emperor Hound within the pagoda. Apart from this, it was simply impossible for others to forcefully enter the pagoda. At the end of the horizon, the people of the Qin clan were madly running. Qin Ming, who was in the lead, was extremely excited. Treasure. He was holding a 4th-dimensional treasure in his hand right now. So long as the Qin clan obtained this treasure and subdued it, then the Qin clan wouldn't have to rely on the Tang clan anymore, and it could even become a top-rate power in the chaotic universe. The time to change their destiny had arrived. At this moment, besides excitement, there was nothing else in Qin Ming's mind. Meanwhile, an expert of the Qin clan by his side said abruptly, "The members of the Tang clan have caught up." Qin Ming's eyes narrowed slightly. "Ignore them." The expert hesitated for a moment and then he said, "Qin Ming, have you thought about the consequences it would bring to the Qin clan if we take this treasure away?" Qin Ming said in a low voice, "You're saying that the Tang clan and Order Alliance will suppress us?" The expert shook his head. "It's not suppression. It's very likely that they'll annihilate us. My Qin clan doesn't have the ability to protect this treasure." Qin Ming said coldly, "Could it be that we're just going to hand over this treasure?" The expert hesitated to speak. Qin Ming shook his head. "My Qin clan has been lying low for so long, and this treasure is our Qin clan's only hope. We can't give it up. No matter what, we have to give it our all." The expert still wanted to say something, but Qin Ming said in a low voice, "We have no way out. If we don't succeed, we die trying." The expert let out a low sigh and nodded. Just as Qin Ming said, the Qin clan could only give it their all. Behind Qin Ming's group, the Tang clan's Lin Mu and the other experts were madly chasing. Besides them, the experts of the Order Alliance were also chasing. Lin Mu suddenly looked at Yuelao. "Quickly notify the clan. Just say that the treasure has fallen into the Qin clan's hands. Have the clan send reinforcements." Yuelao nodded. In the next moment he crushed a voice transmission talisman. In the next moment, in the depths of a mountain in the distant southern wasteland world, a group of cavalry suddenly shot into the sky. Behind this group of cavalry was a sea of flames. The Tang clan cavalry. There were only 9 people in this group of cavalry, but every single one of them was at the knowledge realm. Not only that, but every single one of them wore equipment that was at least at the creation realm. The 9 of them rode demon horses, stepping through the air with an imposing aura as they headed straight for the northern wasteland world. Northern wasteland world. Behind Lin Mu's group, the leading black-robed elder said in a low voice, "The Tang clan is calling for reinforcements." As he spoke, he turned to look at an elder beside him. "Call for reinforcements." The elder nodded. He opened his palm and a black jade stone suddenly shattered. North of the northern wasteland world in Ascending Heaven City. A group of black-robed people suddenly appeared at the city gates. In the next moment, this group of people disappeared without a trace like ghosts. Like Liangdao sect. In a secret room, Mo Wuliang sat on the ground. In front of him there was a tortoise shell. Beside the tortoise shell there were several copper coins. Mo Wuliang's right hand pinched his fingers together, and he muttered something. Around him, traces of strange numbers were moving. After an unknown period of time, the tortoise shell in front of him suddenly shattered. The strange numbers around him also disappeared without a trace. Blood slowly flowed out of Mo Wuliang's mouth. After a moment he stood up and walked to the door. He looked at the end of the horizon, a little dazed. Yi Xian. Fate does not lie in the fourth dimension. How is this possible? At this moment, a bolt of divine lightning appeared above the Liang Dao sect without any warning. In the next moment, boom, the entire Liang Dao sect was directly turned to ashes. After a long time in the ruins, an elder climbed out. He looked up at the horizon. I was wrong. I will not calculate his fate anymore. In the skies of the northern wasteland world, Qin Ming led the Qin family's experts in a mad dash. Qin Ming hugged the world prison pagoda tightly. How much longer until the experts of the family arrive? An expert beside him said in a low voice, at most half an hour. However, the experts of the Order Alliance and the Tang family are also on their way. Qin Ming said fiercely, ignore them. Fight. As he spoke, they sped up. And behind Qin Ming and the others, Lin Mu Yuelao, and the others were also madly sprinting. Lin Mu said in a low voice, Yuelao, is the Qin family crazy? Yuelao shook his head. They're not crazy. They are fighting. That treasure is extraordinary. If they can truly control it, at that time, even the Tang family will not be able to do anything to them. Lin Mu was puzzled. Why does Yi Xian want to hand over that treasure? Yuelao fell silent for a moment and then he said, just now, I saw that his face was pale and his body was weak. Obviously he had fought with the Qin family just now. Moreover, he is obviously unable to defeat the Qin family by himself. So, he should be handing over that treasure to save his life. Lin Mu thought for a moment and then he nodded. Forget about him. As he spoke, he looked into the distance. Everyone speed up. Around half an hour later, Qin Ming and the others arrived before an ancient city. The city was called Myriad Mountain City. It wasn't large and it had a population of less than 1 million. And this city was a subsidiary city of the Qin family. After entering the city, Qin Ming roared furiously, sacrifice the formation. As soon as he spoke, numerous pillars of light suddenly shot into the sky from within the city, and they blasted towards Lin Mu and the others who were chasing after them. Lin Mu and the others were instantly forced to a stop. But in the next moment, they started to break the formation madly. In the city below, Qin Ming brought the World Prison Pagoda to a secret room, and then he glanced at the experts of the Qin family by his side. All of you stand guard here. The experts of my Qin family will be here soon. As soon as he finished speaking, he entered the secret room. Within the secret room, Qin Ming gazed at the World Prison Pagoda, and his eyes burned with undisguised desire. Gradually, this desire transformed into greed. A short moment later, he suddenly tapped with his finger, and a drop of blood essence fell onto the World Prison Pagoda. After a moment of silence, the World Prison Pagoda tore open space and vanished. Qin Ming was stunned when he saw this scene. At this moment, the door to the secret room was suddenly opened, and then a white-haired old man walked in. The white-haired old man walked directly in front of Qin Ming. Where's that treasure? Qin Ming was stunned and he was slightly at a loss. It was here just now. Chapter 569. Hearing Qin Ming's words, the white-haired elder's face became extremely gloomy. What do you mean? Qin Ming panicked. It was here just now. Saying that, he pointed at the space in front of him. It was here just now. The white-haired elder glanced at the space in front of Qin Ming. After a moment he suddenly looked at Qin Ming's finger. There was still a trace of blood there. Seeing this scene, the white-haired elder's eyes narrowed. You subdued that treasure. Qin Ming was shocked and quickly said, Elder Qin Feng, I didn't. It was just in front of me. The white-haired elder stared at Qin Ming. Hand over that treasure and I won't pursue this matter. Qin Ming's face became slightly pale. He wanted to say something but the white-haired elder's divine sense had already locked onto him. There was killing intent. At this moment, Qin Ming suddenly sobered up. He knew very well that when he brought the treasure in, the Qin family's experts outside saw it. Now that the treasure had disappeared, no one would believe him no matter what he said. He didn't know why the treasure disappeared, but he knew that it was definitely related to Yi Xian. After he calmed down, the more he thought about Yi Xian, the more he felt that something was wrong. How could Yi Xian hand over the treasure so easily? He had fallen for Yi Xian's trick. Qin Ming no longer thought about Yi Xian because he didn't have the mood to think about Yi Xian anymore. He only had two choices now. The first was death. The Qin family would definitely think that he had taken the treasure for himself. In the Qin family's hearts, he was definitely not even 1/10,000th of the treasure. If he couldn't take out the treasure, he would definitely die. As for the second choice, At this moment, the white-haired elder suddenly said, "Qin Ming, that treasure is related to the Qin family's future. Don't be stupid." At this moment, Qin Ming suddenly turned around and ran. He was extremely fast and escaped from the secret room in the blink of an eye. Seeing this scene, the white-haired elder's expression changed drastically and he quickly chased after him. Outside the secret room, the Qin family's experts were dumbfounded. What was going on? After Qin Ming escaped into the air, he glared at Qin Feng. "You want to silence me?" Qin Feng. The experts who followed him out also looked at Qin Feng. What was going on? Lin Mu and the others were also stunned. What was the Qin family doing? In the air, Qin Ming stared at Qin Feng. "Everyone, this Qin Feng wants to take that treasure for himself. After he took the treasure, he wanted to kill me to silence me." The experts of the Qin family, Lin Mu and the others. Qin Feng looked at Qin Ming. "Do you know what you're saying?" Qin Ming said sinisterly, "Qin Feng, you're still pretending. After I gave you that treasure, you actually wanted to kill me. You traitor of the Qin family." Qin Feng narrowed his eyes. "I think you want to keep the treasure for yourself." Qin Ming said angrily, "You're slandering me. You are simply deranged. You're even more shameless than that Yi Xian." Qin Feng's face was ashen, his right hand slowly clenched. "Qin Ming, old man, it looks like you're really tired of living." As he spoke, he was about to attack. However, Qin Ming suddenly said, "Look, he wants to kill me to silence me." All the experts of the Qin family gazed at Qin Feng with rather hostile expressions. Qin Feng was furious when he witnessed this scene. "Do all of you believe him?" Meanwhile, a group of cavalrymen suddenly appeared in the distant sky, and then the grand formation that enveloped the entire ancient city exploded into pieces. At the same time, the black-robed old man and the others from the Order Alliance had arrived as well. The members of the Tang clan and Order Alliance had surrounded the Qin family with great tacit understanding. However, they didn't attack because it seemed like the Qin family was in internal strife. Qin Feng stared at Qin Ming. "Why are you doing this?" "Why am I doing this?" Qin Ming was very clearly aware that he would definitely die if he didn't do this. Moreover, he might have a chance at survival by doing this. Every man for himself and the world destroys him. Qin Ming gazed at Qin Feng. "I should be the one asking you that." Qin Feng's eyes narrowed slightly. "Do you think the family will believe you?" As soon as he finished speaking, a middle-aged man appeared by his side. As soon as the middle-aged man appeared, the expressions of Lin Mu and the others became solemn. A Dao verification realm expert. Qin Ming's expression became slightly unsightly when he saw this middle-aged man. The person before him was one of the two protectors of the Qin family, Qin Xiao. This person's strength was ranked in the top 5 of the Qin family. After Qin Xiao appeared, his gaze descended onto Qin Ming. "Why?" Qin Ming sadly smiled. "It looks like Protector Qin Xiao doesn't believe me. If you don't believe me, you can search me." Qin Xiao's divine sense enveloped Qin Ming, and the latter didn't resist. After a short moment, Qin Xiao frowned slightly. He looked at Qin Feng and the latter spoke in a low voice. "When I entered the chamber earlier, he said that the treasure was gone. I questioned him and he did this." Qin Xiao spoke in a low voice. "Elder Qin Feng, I want to search you." Qin Feng nodded. "Search me then." Qin Xiao's divine sense enveloped Qin Feng, and after a short moment his frown deepened. "Because it wasn't." Qin Xiao looked at Qin Ming. "Did that treasure escape or did it fall into Elder Qin Feng's hands?" Qin Ming spoke in a low voice. "It's in his hands." Not too far away, Qin Feng was enraged. "Qin Ming, are you a mad dog? Do you believe that this old man won't slap you to death?" Qin Ming was about to speak, but at this time not too far away, Lin Mook suddenly said, "Your acting is quite good." The Qin family powerhouses all looked at Lin Mook. Lin Mook smiled. "How wonderful." As he spoke, he actually said that the treasure disappeared. Fierce. Admirable, truly admirable. Not too far away, the black-robed old man from the Order Alliance also said, "Truly wonderful." As he spoke, the treasure disappeared just like that. As he spoke to hear, he shook his head and smiled. "Everyone, do you still want to say that the treasure has already returned to Yi Xian's hands?" Qin Xiao looked at the black-robed old man. "That treasure has a spirit of its own. For it to escape on its own isn't anything strange." The black-robed old man sighed. "I suddenly discover that I feel a bit of sympathy for this Yi Xian." As he spoke, he looked at Qin Xiao. "Honestly speaking, are you insulting our intelligence? Qin family people, this old man doesn't want to waste words with you. Today, if you don't hand over the treasure, none of you will leave." As his voice fell, 10 black-clothed people suddenly appeared not too far away from Qin Shao and the others. Seeing these 10 black-clothed people, Qin Shao and the others' complexions instantly turned dignified. Law enforcers. These were the most elite powerhouses of the Order Alliance. They were the same as the Tang clan cavalry. But these people weren't very famous because those that had seen them had all died. Law enforcers. Tang clan cavalry. Qin Zhao's complexion became extremely ugly. Let alone these two super influences, even a single one was something that the Qin family couldn't stop. Qin Shao was silent for a moment. He looked at Lin Mook. Brother Lin Mook, there must be some misunderstanding here. Lin Mook shook his head. Don't try that. If you directly hand over the treasure to me, then I will believe that it is a misunderstanding. Not only will I believe it, but my Tang clan will also believe it. At that time we will still be friends for generations. Qin Zhao's complexion became ugly. Treasure? He also wanted to know who had the treasure. Thinking of this, he looked at Qin Ming and viciously said, "Is the treasure in your hands or not?" Qin Ming was expressionless. "No." Qin Shao looked at Qin Feng. The latter coldly said, "You still don't believe in the old man's character?" Not far away, Qin Ming coldly sneered, "In front of that treasure, who would have any character?" When Qin Feng heard this, he was instantly enraged. He turned to look at Qin Ming. "I will slap you to death, you piece of trash." As his voice fell, he directly charged at Qin Ming. Qin Ming's complexion changed. But he didn't wait for death. He immediately charged at Qin Feng. Just like this, the two Dao realm powerhouses of the Qin family began to fight. Not far away, Li Mu and Yuelao glanced at each other. What was the Qin family doing? This didn't seem like an act at all. At this moment, Qin Shao suddenly said, "Retreat." As his voice fell, he turned and ran. He knew that no matter how he explained, the Tang clan and Order Alliance wouldn't believe him. In fact, he himself didn't believe Qin Ming and Yuelao. Seeing that Qin Shao was about to retreat, Li Mu's expression turned cold. "Kill." As his voice fell, the Tang clan cavalry directly charged at Qin Shao and the others. At the same time, the powerhouses of the Order Alliance also charged over. Qin Shao roared, "Kill." As his voice fell, a powerful aura swept out from his body. Somewhere in the boundless mountain range, Yi Xian sat on the ground. In his arms, there was a large pile of divine crystals. Not only that, he also ate many spiritual fruits that Xiao gave him. Backlash. Using the sword soul separation twice in a row had consumed too much of his body's energy. He didn't usually use the sword soul separation because it consumed a lot of energy. With his current ability, he could at most use it twice. After 2 times, he basically had no combat strength left. Therefore, unless there was a special situation, he wouldn't use this sword skill. Now he also realized that he had a flaw. All of his powerful sword skills and trump cards consumed a lot of energy. Realm. He was currently in the 10,000 Laws realm, and at this realm, it was still difficult for him to completely control his powerful sword skills and trump cards. However, he didn't want to improve immediately. He didn't want to recultivate his realm to be a process. At this moment, the space in front of him suddenly split open, and then, a Xiao Ta flew out. It was the prison pagoda. Yi Xian grinned, "You're back." At this moment, the prison pagoda suddenly collided with Yi Xian's chest. Bang! Before Yi Xian could react, his entire body was directly sent flying. This time he flew for a distance of 100 zhang. And as soon as he stopped, the prison pagoda appeared in front of him again, and then collided with his chest. Bang! Yi Xian was sent flying again. However, the moment he was sent flying, several flying swords suddenly slashed towards the prison pagoda. However, these flying swords were directly absorbed by the prison pagoda when they approached the prison pagoda. Bang 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 bang, in the battlefield Yi Xian flew back and forth, unable to fight back. After about a quarter of an hour, Yi Xian had just crashed to the ground, and the prison pagoda appeared in front of him again. Yi Xian hurriedly said, Let's talk this out. Let's be reasonable, be reasonable." Chapter 570. The prison pagoda did not attack again. Instead, it entered Yi Xian's body. On the ground, Yi Xian's face was bruised and swollen. His entire body was aching. At this moment, he discovered how terrifying this prison pagoda was. This was definitely stronger than a transcendent sword saint. Moreover, this prison pagoda could even store things. On the ground, Yi Xian lay quietly. At this moment, Tang Qing appeared in front of him. Tang Qing looked at Yi Xian and said calmly, "If you can win, use your fists. If you can't, use reason. You're really something." Yi Xian, Tang Qing sat not far from Yi Xian and said softly, I never thought that this pagoda would really recognize you as its master. Yi Xian smiled bitterly, do I look like a master to you? Tang Qing's expression was rather complicated. Young Master Yi, I'm actually very curious. I'm curious as to why it would recognize you as its master? Yi Xian sat up and said with a smile, am I really that unbearable in Miss Tang's eyes? Tang Qing shook her head. Young Master Ye's wisdom is unparalleled. You're strong and decisive. A person like you can be called an outstanding person. Yi Xian was stunned, then said, I've never admired anyone in my life, but I admire Miss Tang Qing. Tang Qing was a little curious. Admire me? Admire what? Yi Xian said seriously, I admire Miss Tang Qing's foresight. Tang Qing was stunned, then laughed, Young Master Yi, your skin is so thick it's really rare. Yi Xian chuckled, something like skin? There are thousands of people in the world and they all have tens of thousands of faces. Some people have the same skin but they lead different lives. Those who laugh on the outside cry on the inside. Those who laugh on the inside cry on the outside. This skin is the most unreliable thing in the world. What's the use of it? Tang Qing smiled, so young Master Yi chose to be shameless. A shameless person is invincible, right? Yi Xian laughed, then said, Miss Tang, you look much more cheerful. What's wrong? Have you thought it through? Tang Qing said softly, so what if I can't get over it? Many a time in one's life, one is like a chess piece that can only be manipulated in one way or another. As she said that, she looked at Yi Xian. Young Master Yi, don't you feel the same way? Yi Xian smiled and said, I only know that I have to work hard in everything, and if there are no results after working hard, then I have no regrets. Tang Qing glanced at Yi Xian with a complicated expression. A moment later, Tang Qing suddenly said, Young Master Yi, can you let me go? Yi Xian looked at Tang Qing, who smiled and said, Just kidding. Yi Xian said, You can leave. Tang Qing looked at Yi Xian and did not say anything. Yi Xian flicked his finger, and a wisp of white light entered Tang Qing's glabella. Soon Tang Qing's restriction was lifted. Tang Qing smiled. Why? Yi Xian thought for a moment and then he said, Miss Tang Qing, I won't play games with you. Letting you go isn't because I have tender feelings for you. Tang Qing smiled and asked, Then why? Yi Xian smiled and said, The Tang family has already given up on you, so it's useless for me to keep you by my side. If I let you go, perhaps you'll remember our relationship and help me in the future. Moreover, I feel that you will definitely not be loyal to the Tang family after you leave, and you might even look for trouble with the Tang family. To put it simply, there's no harm for me if you leave, and it might even be beneficial for me in the future. Tang Qing remained silent for a moment, and then she smiled and said, Thank you. Yi Xian was slightly puzzled. Thank me for what? Tang Qing chuckled and said, Thank you for your straightforwardness, young Master Yi. Even though you're very thick-skinned, I have to say that you're a very good person. The sword sect's abandonment of you is absolutely the greatest loss they've suffered in their lives. After saying that, she turned around and left, but she soon stopped. Young Master Yi, don't be so gullible in the future, especially women. Yi Xian smiled and said, I hope that I won't become enemies with Miss Tang Qing in the future. Of course, if that day really comes, Miss Tang can rest assured that my sword is very fast, and I guarantee that you won't feel any pain. Tang Qing nodded slightly, Take care. After saying that, she disappeared not far away. Yi Xian looked into the distance and no one knew what he was thinking. At this time, the Emperor Hound's voice suddenly sounded, Boy Yi, are you interested in this girl? Yi Xian recollected his thoughts and said with a smile, What do you think? The Emperor Hound said, I think this girl is interested in you? Yi Xian shook his head and smiled, Brother Emperor Hound, have you rested well recently? The Emperor Hound said, Not bad, my strength has improved a lot. Yi Xian quickly asked, How strong is it? The Emperor Hound said lightly, It's equivalent to the Tao confirming realm. Yi Xian was stunned, It's that strong? The Emperor Hound said coldly, That strong? I'm afraid you don't know when I was at my peak. If I was at my peak, then let me tell you, I could slap these people to death with a single slap. Yi Xian laughed, Then I'll be relying on Brother Emperor Hound to protect me from now on. The Emperor Hound said in a low voice, Boy, even though you've successfully framed that Qing clan, those powers aren't idiots. You can deceive them for a while, but you can't deceive them forever. Yi Xian nodded, I know. The Emperor Hound asked, What do you plan to do next? Yi Xian was about to speak when the World Prison Pagoda suddenly appeared in front of him. In the next moment, the World Prison Pagoda trembled slightly as if it was trying to express something. After a short moment, Yi Xian said in a low voice, "Can you speak?" The world prison pagoda trembled violently and smashed directly towards Yi Xian. Yi Xian's expression changed, and he raised his sword to block. Bang! Yi Xian was instantly blasted back 300 m. The world prison pagoda was about to attack again when Yi Xian suddenly said angrily, "I'm telling you, don't go too far or else." The world prison pagoda suddenly vanished and a ray of black light flashed. Bang! Yi Xian was blasted flying again. On the ground, Yi Xian crawled up. At this moment, the world prison pagoda appeared in front of him, and then it jumped up and down in a very arrogant manner. Yi Xian's face twitched. "How did I offend this malefic existence?" Meanwhile, the Emperor Hound suddenly said, "Has the pagoda spirit woken up?" Yi Xian smiled bitterly, "I don't know. If the pagoda spirit had woken up, it wouldn't be so childish, right?" The world prison pagoda was acting quite childish now. The Emperor Hound said in a low voice, "Do you think there's something wrong with its intelligence after it was heavily injured?" Yi Xian thought for a moment and then said, "That's possible." The Emperor Hound said, "Let's not talk about that for now. It seemed to want you to do something just now. Can you understand it?" Yi Xian shook his head and was about to speak when Xiaoling suddenly appeared in front of him. "I can understand it." Yi Xian was slightly startled. "You can understand it?" Xiaoling nodded. "It wants you to find something." Yi Xian asked, "What is it looking for?" Xiaoling turned to look at the world prison pagoda, and then she mumbled something and the world prison pagoda suddenly jumped up and down. Yi Xian's expression froze. "Brother Emperor Hound, can you understand what they're saying?" The Emperor Hound said, "You think too highly of me. The world of the big shots is not something that trash like me can understand." Yi Xian. At this time Xiaoling looked at Yi Xian. "It wants you to find that Dao." "Dao," Yi Xian said. "Dao Law?" Xiaoling quickly nodded. "Yes, that Dao Law." Yi Xian asked, "It wants to find Dao Law?" Xiaoling nodded her little head. "It said that you're too lazy to even look for Dao Law. You're just..." At this point she glanced at Yi Xian and did not speak. Yi Xian asked, "What is it?" Xiaoling hesitated and then said, "It said that you're an idiot. You didn't even chase away the 6th floor. You're really too stupid." Yi Xian's face darkened. "You were the one who said that." Little Ling blinked her eyes. "It said so." At the side, the prison pagoda trembled as if expressing something. Xiaoling said again, "It said that I'm right, you're an idiot. You're a big idiot." At this point she seemed to realize something and quickly shut up. "Yi Xian," Xiaoling blinked, "Did I say something wrong?" Yi Xian shook his head. "No, you're very outstanding." "Really?" Xiaoling giggled and then pointed to the right. "It said that there are Dao laws over there and it wants you to go." Yi Xian looked to the right and after a moment of silence he nodded, "Let's go." With that, he sent Xiaoling to the prison pagoda, and then disappeared with the prison pagoda. Find Dao laws. To unleash the power of the prison pagoda, the best way was to find Dao laws. Not only could Dao laws repair the prison pagoda, but they could also increase his strength. Given the current situation, he needed to increase his strength as soon as possible. Otherwise, once the Order Alliance and Tang clan came back to their senses, it would be impossible for him to fight them with his current strength. Under the guidance of the prison pagoda, Yi Xian disappeared into the boundless horizon. Myriad Mountain City. At this time Myriad Mountain City was a mess. Dozens of Dao Realm experts had fought here. How could this place withstand it? And on the battlefield, the Order Alliance and Tang clan had a tacit understanding not to target each other. Their target was the Qin family. The Qin family only had Qin Shao, Qin Ming and Qin Feng left. The rest of them had all perished. As for Qin Ming and Qin Feng, they didn't fight amongst themselves. If they did, then everyone would die. Qin Shao glared at Lin Mu. "Brother Lin, do you really have to be so ruthless?" Lin Mu said indifferently, "Ruthless? Your Qin family acts one way in front of my Tang clan and another way behind my back. Let me tell you, if your Qin family doesn't hand over that treasure today, let alone you, your entire Qin family will perish." Qin Shao looked at Qin Ming and Qin Ming. "Do the two of you really want my Qin family to be buried with you?" Qin Feng looked at Qin Ming. "Even if you don't care about yourself, do you not care about your descendants?" Qin Ming fell silent. After a moment, he looked at Lin Mu and the others, saying softly, "When that treasure was in the secret room, I wanted to subdue it. However, it suddenly disappeared. If I'm not wrong, it has returned to Yi Xian's side." Lin Mu shook his head and smiled. "To be honest, I also feel a bit sorry for Yi Xian. It hasn't been easy for him to live until now. In this kind of situation you all still want to frame him. Doesn't your conscience hurt? Qin Xiao. P.S. A reader said that today is his birthday and asked if I could add more. Of course I can. I wish you a happy birthday. Thank you very much for reading my book, and thank you even more for supporting the original. I will write better stories, become more handsome, and make you all like them even more. Chapter 571. The expressions of Qin Xiao and the others instantly became extremely unsightly when they heard Lin Mu. Obviously, Lin Mu and the others didn't believe Qin Ming at all. But it made sense. After all, who would believe him? Meanwhile, Lin Mu's gaze gradually turned icy cold. Qin Xiao, I don't have the time to waste with you. Just tell me, hand it over or not. Qin Xiao had a ferocious expression on his face. Hand it over? I don't have anything, so what do you want me to hand over? When he spoke up to this point, he gazed at Qin Ming. Do you really want to bury your entire clan with you? Qin Ming spoke solemnly. That treasure really did flee by itself, and it's definitely in Yi Xian's hands now. Qin Xiao roared furiously. Do you even believe that? Do you? Qin Ming remained silent. He knew that he couldn't explain himself. At this moment he realized how severe the situation was. It wasn't just a matter of his own, it was related to the fate of the entire Qin clan. It was absolutely impossible for the Qin clan to resist the joint forces of the Tang clan and Order Alliance. Moreover, the Order Alliance and Tang clan would absolutely not allow him to escape. He had no way out because the Qin clan wouldn't protect him. Moreover, the Qin clan wouldn't even be able to protect themselves. He had no way out. It was a hopeless situation. Qin Ming laughed miserably when he thought up to this point. Greed. Greed is the original sin. There was only a single reason why he'd fallen into such a situation: greed. The moment greed arose, he would be doomed eternally. At this moment he truly realized that he'd been tricked by Yi Xian. Yi Xian had succeeded in using his greed to divert the attention of the Order Alliance and Tang clan. Yi Xian. Qin Ming's expression gradually turned icy cold when he thought up to this point, and he gazed at Lin Mu and the others. I was the last person to come into contact with that treasure, and it really has fallen into Yi Xian's hands. Lin Mu was about to speak when Qin Ming's body suddenly started burning. He was combusting. Everyone in the surroundings was stunned when they witnessed this scene. Even Qin Xiao and the others were stunned. Suicide. Qin Ming had actually chosen suicide. At this moment, Lin Mu and the black-robed old man from the Order Alliance frowned tightly. This Qin Ming wanted to use his death to prove that the treasure wasn't in his hands. On the battlefield, the burning Qin Ming had a crazed look on his face. Yi Xian? Ah, what a good Yi Xian. You caused the old man to die. The old man will not let you off easily. As he spoke, he looked at Lin Mu and the others. Order Alliance, Tang clan, this Yi Xian is not only talented but his intelligence is also outstanding. If you don't take advantage of this opportunity to eliminate him before he fully matures, then it won't be long before you can do anything to him. As soon as he finished speaking, his body was completely engulfed in flames, and it didn't take long for him to turn into ashes. The surroundings were extremely silent. Qin Xiao and Qin Feng remained silent. The two of them didn't expect Qin Ming to suddenly do this. Although the three people in front of them were dead, they couldn't commit suicide. The reason why Qin Ming had committed suicide was obviously because he didn't want Yi Xian's plan to succeed. At the very least, he wanted to shift the attention of the Tang clan and the Order Alliance to Yi Xian. Qin Xiao looked at Lin Mu not far away. Brother Lin Mu, if my Qin clan really had that treasure, they would definitely save us at all costs. Perhaps we would directly hand it over to protect ourselves. But now no one from my Qin clan has come to rescue us. This is enough to prove that the treasure isn't in our hands. You've all interacted with that Yi Xian before. You know better than me how treacherous he is. Moreover, didn't the sword sect fall into his trap in the same way? Yi Xian. Lin Mu and the rest fell silent. Yi Xian. They naturally knew how treacherous he was. This fellow didn't seem like a swordsman at all. This was because he was too shameless, using all sorts of tricks. Moreover, he was extremely shameless. This kind of person was a disgrace to the swordsman. And this kind of person was the most troublesome, because he was capable of doing many shameless things. At this time, Yuelao suddenly transmitted his voice. Regardless of whether the treasure is in Yi Xian's hands or not, we cannot let these three go. Hearing this, Lin Mu's eyes narrowed. Kill. Kill. The Qin clan was a vassal of the Tang clan, and their actions this time was undoubtedly a betrayal. Under such circumstances, if the Tang clan did not kill the chicken to warn the monkey, wouldn't the other vassal forces have thoughts of rebelling? Furthermore, the words of the Qin clan could not be trusted completely. Whether the treasure was on them or not, they would know once they killed them. As Lin Mook's voice fell, the Tang clan cavalry charged towards Lin Xiao and Yuelao. Seeing Lin Mook and the rest attack, Lin Xiao's expression turned savage. Since you won't let us live, then we'll fight to the death. As soon as he finished speaking, he charged toward the group of Tang clan cavalrymen. On the other side, the black-robed old man and the rest did not make a move. Beside the black-robed old man, an expert asked solemnly, "Should we make a move?" The black-robed old man shook his head. "Watch the show." Suddenly, a shrill cry resounded, and by the time the black-robed old man and the rest looked over, Qin Feng's head had already flown into the air. Crushed. The black-robed old man's expression was extremely solemn when he saw the strength of the 9 Tang clan cavalrymen. These Tang clan cavalrymen were truly strong. Right at this moment, Qin Xiao, who was nearby, was suddenly sent flying. At this moment, his left arm was gone. Moreover, only a single Tang clan cavalryman had attacked. Both of them had been fighting one-on-one. However, Qin Xiao had been completely crushed. Not too far away, Qin Xiao raised his head and took a look. In the distant void, there was an old man looking down from above. This person was the current patriarch of the Qin clan, Qin Zhong. He had arrived a long time ago, but he did not make a move. He just watched silently. Qin Xiao stared fixedly at Qin Zhong. "I do not resent the clan. Please protect my family, patriarch." As soon as he finished speaking, he looked at the Tang clan cavalryman, and in the next moment, his abdomen swelled up. In the blink of an eye, a destructive force erupted from within him. Rumble. The space in an area of several thousand meters violently trembled and cracked apart. Not far away, the Tang clan knight held his saber with both hands and leaned his body forward, using his saber as a shield. Just like that, he managed to completely block the power of the explosion. However, he was also forced back nearly 100 zhang. A short moment later, the surroundings returned to calm. Both Qin Xiao and Qin Feng had perished. But neither of them had that precious treasure on them. Lin Mu raised his head and saw that Qin Zhong had appeared out of nowhere. Qin Zhong glanced at Lin Mu. "Is that enough?" Lin Mu sneered. "Patriarch Qin, do you think this matter is over?" Qin Zhong shook his head. "Whether or not it's over is not up to you. Let me remind you one last time. Yi Xian gave up that precious treasure of his own accord in order to divert your attention to my Qin family. Do you know what he's doing right now? Do you think he'll be idle? As for Yi Xian, he will definitely take revenge for the smallest grievance. Once he becomes an extraordinary sword saint, coupled with his assassination techniques, I really don't know if your Tang clan cavalrymen will be enough to kill." Lin Mu fell silent. Yi Xian. The Tang clan had never dared to look down on this person. Right now, Yi Xian was only a great sword immortal. But once he became a sword saint, he might even become an extraordinary sword saint. Even transcendent sword saint. At that time, he would definitely be very terrifying. At this time, a voice sounded out from the side. "Patriarch Qin Zhong, aren't you trying to divert the attention of my Tang clan and the Order Alliance?" Lin Mu turned and looked. When he saw who it was, he was stunned. Tang Qing. The young miss of the Tang family. Tang Qing walked in front of Qin Zhong and smiled. "Patriarch Qin Zhong, what we are discussing right now is not that precious treasure, nor is it Yi Xian, but your Qin family. What was the agreement between your Qin family and my Tang clan in the past? Has your Qin family forgotten your own status?" Qin Zhong looked at Tang Qing, not speaking. Tang Qing continued, "Your Qin family's current actions are betrayal. Do you think my Tang clan will let your Qin family off?" Qin Zhong smiled. "Then what do you think we should do?" Tang Qing smiled faintly. She opened her palm and a beam of white light suddenly flew out. Soon, a figure appeared in front of her. Seeing this figure, all the Tang clan cavalry knelt on one knee. Lin Mu and old Yuelao did the same. Because this figure was the current patriarch of the Tang clan, Tang Yan. Tang Qing bowed slightly to the figure. "Tang Qing greets patriarch." Tang Yan said, "What is it?" Tang Qing said, "The Qin family has betrayed us. Tang Qing suggests that we immediately eradicate the Qin family to rid ourselves of this disaster." Not far away, Qin Zhong glanced at Tang Qing but did not speak. Tang Yan asked, "How did you escape?" Tang Qing's expression was calm. "He let me go." Tang Yan asked, "Why?" Tang Qing said, "He felt that the family had abandoned me and that I was no longer of any use in his hands. He let me go because I have a grudge against the family. This is beneficial to him." Tang Yan asked again, "What do you think?" Tang Qing said, "I have a grudge against the family. Tang Yen looked at Tang Qing and waited for her to continue. Tang Qing clenched her fists. Of course I blame myself even more. It was my own stupidity and carelessness that allowed me to be captured by Yi Xian. When she spoke up to hear, she raised her head to look at Tang Yen. From this moment onward, I want the family to never abandon me again. I want to prove to the family that abandoning me was the greatest mistake of the family. The surroundings were extremely silent. Not far away, the black-robed old man glanced at Tang Qing and said softly, "This girl?" At this moment, Tang Yen suddenly said, "From this moment onward, Tang Qing will be promoted to the deputy cavalry commander of the Tang clan. She will be able to freely mobilize 30 cavalrymen, 2 Dao realm experts, a 9-dragon jade pendant, and 1 million divine crystals. She will also be able to freely enter Tiansong Pavilion, Divine Skill Pavilion, Heaven's Abode Holy Lands and train soldiers." Hearing Tang Yen, the 9 Tang clan cavalry suddenly turned around and knelt to Tang Qing. "Greetings, Commander Qing." At this moment, Lin Mu and old Yuelao's expressions changed. Tang Qing's current treatment was something that only the young masters of the Tang clan could enjoy. Moreover, those young masters were fighting for the position of heir. This meant that the patriarch wanted Tang Qing to fight for the position of heir. It also meant that Tang Qing had truly entered the core circle of power in the Tang clan. Lin Mu and old Yuelao hurriedly bowed to Tang Qing as well. "Greetings, Commander Qing." The title of Deputy Cavalry Commander of the Tang clan was much greater than that of the Tang clan, because it was real power. As for the eldest young miss of the Tang clan, it was just an empty title. Tang Qing stood up and bowed slightly to Tang Yen. Tang Qing has not let down the patriarch's expectations. Tang Yen said, "Return to the Qing clan and discuss it with your 9th brother and the others. You can decide whether to kill them or keep them alive. Besides that, do your best to search for Yi Xian's whereabouts. He's a great threat that cannot be allowed to live." Tang Qing nodded, "Understood." As he spoke, he slowly relaxed his hands. His expression was calm and no one knew what he was thinking. Chapter 572. After Tang Yen disappeared, Tang Qing glanced at Qin Zhong, who was not far away. The latter smiled and said, "Miss Tang Qing, you're really good." Tang Qing did not respond to Qin Zhong. She turned to look at Yuelao and the rest. "Return to the clan." Soon the group of people left. After Tang Qing and the others left, Qin Zhong looked at the black-robed old man. "Sir, would you like to talk?" The black-robed old man shook his head. "There's nothing to discuss." With that, he turned around and left. Normally he would want to talk, but now he didn't want to. Firstly, the Qin clan's betrayal of the Tang clan was extremely shameless. If the Qin clan could betray the Tang clan, then they could also betray the Order Alliance. Secondly, the Qin clan was obviously trying to get the Order Alliance to take over the Qin clan. Once the Order Alliance accepted the Qin clan, the Tang clan would definitely take revenge at all costs for the sake of their reputation. Although the Order Alliance wasn't afraid, the Qin clan wasn't worth it. If the Order Alliance didn't do anything, they would be able to reap the benefits because it was highly possible that the Tang clan would not let the Qin clan off. Although the Qin clan wasn't as strong as the Tang clan, they weren't that weak. If the two clans could fight to the death, that would naturally be good. If not, it didn't matter. In any case, the Order Alliance wouldn't lose anything. Moreover, his current mission was to find Yi Xian. He did not want to be dragged down by the Qin clan. After the black-robed old man and the others left, Qin Zhong remained expressionless. No one knew what he was thinking. A short moment later, just as he was about to leave, a figure suddenly appeared not too far away from him. The figure was like a shadow, and he couldn't see the figure's appearance clearly. Qin Zhong narrowed his eyes and clenched his right fist. The figure laughed and said, "Now it seems that the Qin family is in a very bad situation." Qin Zhong stared straight at the mysterious man. "Who are you?" The mysterious man said indifferently, "He can save the Qin clan." Qin Zhong chuckled. "You?" As his voice fell, he flicked his sleeves and the space in front of him trembled. An instant later, an afterimage suddenly appeared in front of him. Qin Zhong's expression changed slightly as he threw out a punch. Boom. Qin Zhong retreated rapidly, and this time he retreated several thousand feet. At this moment, Qin Zhong's expression turned solemn. The mysterious man said softly, "Do you believe me now?" Qin Zhong glared at the mysterious man. Apart from the Tang clan and the Demon clan, no one can stop the Tang clan. The mysterious man shook his head and chuckled without saying a word. With a wave of his palm, a golden strip of cloth suddenly appeared before Qin Zhong. Qin Zhong's expression changed drastically when he saw the golden strip of cloth. You? A million miles to the north of the City of Order in the Eastern Wasteland Domain was a sea region known as the Sky-Concealing Sea Domain. This sea region was boundless and had countless islands. Because the spiritual qi in this sea region was thin, there were no valuable spiritual veins or natural treasures. Therefore, the Order Alliance had never sent anyone to manage this place. It was not worth it to waste manpower here. As for this place, very few people came here because even though there were many islands here, they weren't very valuable. Standing on the shore, Yi Xian looked at the vast sea in the distance and said softly, "There are Dao laws here?" At this time, the prison pagoda appeared in front of it. It swayed about as if it was expressing something. The corner of Yi Xian's mouth twitched. He hurriedly said, "Xiaolinger, what is it saying?" Xiaolinger appeared in front of Yi Xian. She glanced at Xiao Ta and said, "It said that Dao." Yi Xian's face darkened. "Dao laws." Xiaolinger hurriedly said, "Dao laws. It said that it's hiding." Hiding? Yi Xian was stunned. He then looked at the prison pagoda. "You're their master. Let it come out." Hearing Yi Xian's words, the prison pagoda seemed a little agitated. It began to jump left and right. As it began to jump, the space in the field began to twist strangely. Yi Xian's eyelids twitched. He hurriedly said, What is it doing?" Xiaolinger blinked. "It's angry." Yi Xian was puzzled. "What's it angry about?" Xiaolinger said, "It said that those Dao laws don't want to return after they escaped. They're all traitors." Yi Xian had a strange expression on his face. He knew that some Dao laws were extremely formidable. For example, Yanjia had taken human form, but he wasn't willing to return. Obviously, the other high-level Dao laws were definitely thinking the same thing. They'd escaped with great difficulty, so who would want to return? Meanwhile, the prison pagoda started jumping again. Xiaolinger gazed at the prison pagoda for a long time, and then she looked at Yi Xian and spoke in an extremely serious tone. "It said that it lived on the 6th floor for too long. You should ask it to move out." The prison pagoda turned to Xiaolinger. Yi Xian's face darkened. "You said that?" Xiaolinger blinked with a very innocent expression. Yi Xian said seriously, "What exactly did it say?" Xiaolinger hesitated for a moment and then she said, "It said that the Dao law is in this area, but it's hidden. It can't sense it. It wants you to find it." Yi Xian said in a low voice, "How do I find it?" The prison pagoda started jumping again. The corners of Yi Xian's mouth twitched and he looked at Xiaolinger. Xiaolinger blinked and said, "It said that it doesn't know." Yi Xian was speechless. Meanwhile, Xiaolinger was muttering something to the prison pagoda again. She was slightly excited and she gestured quickly with her hands. The prison pagoda was jumping as well and it seemed to be expressing something. After a short while, Xiaolinger calmed down. But she seemed to be slightly unwilling and then she raised 2 fingers. Her attitude was very firm. The prison pagoda swayed from side to side. Obviously, it didn't agree. Meanwhile, Xiaolinger turned around and disappeared. But it didn't take long for her to reappear. But at this moment, she was holding a sword in her hand. Xiaolinger pointed the sword at the prison pagoda. One-on-one. Yi Xian was dumbfounded. What's going on? How did they end up fighting just like that? The prison pagoda trembled, and then it smashed directly towards Xiaolinger. Lil Ling shouted angrily, "Hey, give me your life." As she spoke, she slashed at the prison pagoda with her sword. Just like that, the human and pagoda started fighting in midair. Yi Xian was dumbfounded. What the hell is going on? In next to no time, Yi Xian's expression became slightly solemn. Because he noticed that Xiaolinger was very strong. It wasn't just the sword in her hand, but she herself was very strong. He knew the strength of the prison pagoda. Ordinary Dao vindication experts were not its match, but at this moment, this Xiaolinger was actually evenly matched with it. This Xiaolinger's strength was like the prison pagoda, forever a mystery. At this moment, the prison pagoda and Xiaolinger suddenly stopped. Xiaolinger hugged her sword and panted, "Let's stop first. I'm a little tired. Let's fight another day." The prison pagoda trembled, expressing its agreement. Xiaolinger hugged her sword and returned to the prison pagoda, while the prison pagoda returned to Yi Xian's body. The fight was fast, but it stopped just as fast. Yi Xian was a little confused. After a moment, Yi Xian shook his head. "I don't understand the world of the big shots." As he spoke, he looked at the distant sea region. Dao Law. He didn't know what Dao Law it was, but he knew that he had to obtain it. The higher the level of Dao Law, the more terrifying its power. If he could obtain it, it would definitely be of great benefit to him. After a moment, Yi Xian disappeared. Search. Before long, Yi Xian entered the vast sea region. The surroundings were very quiet, and there were no demonic beasts at the bottom of the sea. 2 hours later, Yi Xian stopped on an island. Looking at the vast sea region before him, he frowned, because he had no clue at all. During these 2 hours, his divine sense swept the surrounding islands and sea region, but he didn't find anything. Where was this Tao Law hidden? Yi Xian was a little annoyed. After a moment, his figure trembled and he flew into the distance. Before long, Yi Xian arrived on the sea surface. He spread out his divine sense, and not only that, he also used the dragon soul. At this moment, his divine sense covered the surrounding sea region for hundreds of miles. However, there was still nothing. Yi Xian withdrew his divine sense and frowned. At this moment, a whirlpool suddenly appeared in front of him. A moment later, a powerful force sucked him into the whirlpool. Yi Xian's expression changed drastically as soon as he entered the vortex. He slashed forward with his sword. However, nothing happened when the sword slashed down. Yi Xian frowned and hurriedly said, "Brother Emperor Dog?" There was no response. Shocked, Yi Xian quickly contacted the World Prison Pagoda. However, he was shocked to find that he had lost contact with the World Prison Pagoda. What's going on? At this moment, he realized that he had stopped, and his surroundings were pitch black. He couldn't see anything. Yi Xian frowned slightly. He raised his hand and swung his sword. The sword light had just appeared, but it disappeared in the blink of an eye. Yi Xian's expression darkened. He opened his palm, and in an instant, countless flying swords slashed in all directions. However, after these flying swords slashed, they disappeared without a sound. All disappeared. Yi Xian's expression was slightly unsightly. What is this place? After a moment, he walked forward, but it was pitch black all around him. No matter how he walked, he felt like he was walking on the same spot. Around 2 hours later, Yi Xian stopped. During these 2 hours, he had used all the methods he could, but it was still useless. He was still trapped here. There was no sound, no light. Even his sword light couldn't survive in this place. In this dark space besides him and the darkness, there was nothing else. Just like that, another 2 hours passed. At this moment, Yi Xian was starting to feel annoyed because this feeling was too terrible. After an unknown amount of time, Yi Xian suddenly stood up. He slashed forward with his sword, but it was still pitch black all around him. There was no movement at all. Gradually, Yi Xian's expression became slightly ferocious. "Who is it? Come out and fight me." However, there was no movement at all. There was no response at all. Yi Xian's expression was ferocious. He immediately used the Dragon Soul and Dragon Force. Soon, flying swords flew everywhere, but almost in an instant, these flying swords all disappeared into the darkness. Another long time passed. At this moment, he had lost the concept of time. This was because he didn't know how much time had passed since he entered. In any case, he felt like a few years had passed. Torture. Now he felt like he was being tortured every second of the day. He felt like he was about to collapse. He even wanted to be freed. When this thought appeared in his mind, Yi Xian was instantly shocked. He was so weak. His state of mind was so unbearable. When he encountered difficulties, he would actually want to give up. He would also be angry because of failure, and anger was the expression of an incompetent person. He was a swordsman with a clear sword heart, but at this moment, his state of mind was so irritated. After a long time, Yi Xian finally understood that he had many flaws, but when he was not faced with difficulties, these flaws were not reflected. Human nature. Most of the time, a person's flaws and evil side were well hidden, but as long as there was a chance, they would be completely exposed. Therefore, it was often said that human nature could not withstand tests and scrutiny. However, as a swordsman, he must look straight into his heart, straight into his worst and most evil side. What was the true clear sword heart? Look straight into his heart, recognize it and follow it. Don't run away. I'm the good and I'm the bad. Both good and bad are me. Thinking of this, the sword in Yi Xian's hand suddenly trembled violently. What is a sword saint? Yi Xian said softly, from a mortal to an immortal, from an immortal to a saint, and to become a saint, one must first recognize oneself. That's right, I Yi Xian have many flaws. Yes, I Yi Xian am shameless, I am shameless. When I see a beauty I will have crooked thoughts. Yes, I am such a shameless and shameless person. 1. A sword's hum suddenly resounded in this darkness. Chapter 573. In the darkness, the hum of the sword resounded and did not stop for a long time. The sword could communicate with the mind. Yi Xian sat cross-legged on the ground, his eyes slightly closed, and a sword quietly floated in front of him. Understanding the heart. At this moment he understood one thing, and that was to clearly understand his own heart. A person could deceive anyone in the world, but he could not deceive his own heart. The heart was the truest mirror in the world. Yi Xian stood up and opened his palm. In his palm a sword spun violently. The sword contained two kinds of sword intents. Good and evil sword intents. At this moment, his sword intent had undergone a transformation, and with the support of this sword intent, the soul-suppressing sword in his hand had also undergone an earth-shattering transformation. At this time, Soul's voice suddenly sounded, "Congratulations, young master, your sword path has entered the sage realm." Sword sage? Yi Xian said softly, "What is the difference between a sword sage and a sword immortal?" Specifically. After a moment of silence, Soul said, "Young master, can you feel your own sword intent?" Yi Xian opened his left hand and soon, the two kinds of sword intents enveloped him. After a while, he discovered that his sword intent seemed to have something more inexplicable than before. At this time, Soul suddenly said, "Young master's sword intent has a trace of spiritual intelligence than before." Spiritual intelligence? Yi Xian asked, "What do you mean?" Soul said, "All things have a spirit and so does sword intent. Of course, whether a sword intent can have a spirit or not depends on its master. Young master's state of mind has improved, and he has a more thorough understanding of himself and the sword, and this understanding has directly led to the transformation of young master's sword intent. This transformation is a living being. Young master's sword intent has a spirit, and its power and effect are at least 50% higher than before. In other words, after young master became a sword sage, his strength also increased by at least 50%. Increased by 50%. Yi Xian opened his palm, and the sword in his hand suddenly flew out. The sword was faster than lightning. This speed was indeed at least 50% faster than before. Now he was confident that he could kill a knowledge realm powerhouse head-on. If it was an assassination, he could even try to kill a Tao validation powerhouse. At this time Little Soul suddenly said, "Young master, you must not be arrogant and complacent. Becoming a saint may just be the beginning. This sword Tao entering sainthood is like a Genesis Tao expert who has just come into contact with the Tao. The word Tao is broad and profound and involves far too many things. It's not something that can be understood in a day." Yi Xian nodded. Understood. As he spoke, he glanced around. "Little Soul, do you know where this place is?" Little Soul said in a low voice, "I don't know. This place is very strange, young master must be careful." Yi Xian nodded. He held onto his sword and walked towards the distance. At this moment, his sword intent began to spread out in all directions. Not only that, but he also used the power of the Dragon Soul. With the support of the Dragon Soul, the sword intent became even more powerful. But in next to no time, Yi Xian noticed that his sword intent was being destroyed by a mysterious force. Yi Xian's expression turned cold when he noticed this, and then he turned around and vanished. In an instant, countless rays of sword light crisscrossed within this expanse of darkness. Swish! A tearing sound suddenly resounded in this darkness, and soon, a ray of white light appeared not far away from Yi Xian. Seeing this, Yi Xian hurriedly flashed forward and charged directly into the ray of white light. A moment later Yi Xian felt a gust of cold wind. At this moment he had returned to the sea. Yi Xian greedily absorbed everything around him, and a moment later he said softly, as expected, "Only when everything is lost does everything seem so precious." Just now, in that darkness, he truly felt that time passed like a year. That feeling was even more terrifying than when he had fought a dozen Tao realm experts. Endless darkness without any hope. It was a slow torture. "Are you the new master?" At this moment, a voice suddenly resounded not far away from Yi Xian. Yi Xian suddenly opened his eyes. Not far away from him stood a woman in a black dress. The woman looked less than 20 years old, wore a black dress that was as black as ink, and there was a bit of cinnabar between her brows. Yi Xian said in a low voice, "You are the Tao Law." The woman looked at him coldly and didn't speak. At this moment Yi Xian suddenly patted the prison pagoda lightly. "Come out." However, there was no movement from the prison pagoda. Yi Xian was stunned. Not coming out? At this moment he could already sense the prison pagoda. The Tao Law was right before him, but this fellow actually didn't come out. What's the meaning of this? As if he had thought of something, Yi Xian's expression suddenly changed, and he cursed in his heart. Could it be that it can't defeat the prison pagoda, so it doesn't dare to come out? When he thought of this, cold sweat instantly flowed down Yi Xian's back. That's entirely possible. Even though the prison pagoda is formidable, what's its current state? It's half crippled. Under such circumstances, it might really be unable to defeat the Tao laws of these monsters. At this moment, the woman in a black dress suddenly said, "You're so weak, so why did it choose you as its master?" Yi Xian looked at the woman in a black dress, and he hesitated for a moment before he asked, "Am I very weak?" The woman in a black dress frowned slightly. "Are you not weak?" Yi Xian thought for a moment and said, "Why do you think I'm weak?" The woman in a black dress gazed at Yi Xian. She didn't speak, but she suddenly flicked her sleeve. Yi Xian's expression instantly changed drastically, and he raised his sword to block it. Bang! In an instant, Yi Xian retreated explosively by over 1 kilometer. Moreover, the space in an area of 3 kilometers in front of him had turned pitch black. Moreover, his right hand had lost all feeling. Yi Xian's expression instantly became extremely solemn. Meanwhile, a woman walked out from within the pitch black space. It was the woman in a black dress. The woman in the black dress glanced at Yi Xian. Wait. Yi Xian fell silent. Now he knew why the prison pagoda didn't come out. The current prison pagoda was definitely unable to defeat the woman in a black dress. Moreover, based on what she said, she probably knew that he had the prison pagoda, and she didn't seem afraid at all. Meanwhile, the woman in a black dress suddenly said, "Make it come out." Yi Xian hesitated for a moment and then he said, "Why don't you go in?" The woman's eyes narrowed slightly. "Do I look very stupid?" Yi Xian was speechless. The woman gazed at Yi Xian and asked, "Why did it choose you?" Yi Xian thought for a moment and then he said, "Miss, firstly, my current strength isn't very strong indeed. However, don't you think that I have a lot of potential?" "Potential?" The woman spoke coldly, "You have a hair. You don't even have a hair." Yi Xian was dumbstruck. This woman is using vulgarities? The woman gazed coldly at Yi Xian. "Make it come out. I'm going to beat it to death. It actually chose such a weak person to be its master. I want to see if it's blind." Yi Xian's face sank and he roared furiously in his heart. "You can even tolerate that? Come out and beat it." There was no movement in the prison pagoda. At this moment Xiaoling suddenly said, "It wants you to beat it." Yi Xian was furious. "I can beat it and you want me to call you over?" Xiaoling suddenly said, "Do you want me to beat it for you?" Yi Xian hurriedly nodded. "All right." When Xiaoling held that sword, her combat strength was extremely terrifying. As soon as Yi Xian spoke, Xiaoling instantly appeared in front of him, and she was holding a sword in her hand. Xiaoling glanced at the woman in a black dress in the distance. She hesitated for a moment, and then she looked at Yi Xian. "Sorry, my stomach hurts. I'll talk to you later." After she finished speaking, she turned and ran back into the prison pagoda. Yi Xian's expression froze. Why does that sound so familiar? Right at this moment, the woman in a black dress suddenly vanished on the spot. Yi Xian's expression instantly changed drastically. He stabbed swiftly with his sword, and a ray of cold light flashed like a bolt of lightning. Bang! An explosion resounded, and then Yi Xian's figure was pushed over 1 kilometer back. As soon as he stopped moving, he suddenly felt the scene before him darken. This time he didn't dare hold back at all, and he immediately utilized his Dragon Soul energy and Dragon energy. At the same time, 2 types of sword intent swept out from within him. Slash! As soon as Yi Xian spoke, a ray of light slashed down forcefully. A sharp sound of something tearing apart resounded. Rumble. As soon as Yi Xian's sword slashed down, his figure was blasted flying again. This time he flew for almost 3 kilometers. As soon as he stopped, a wisp of blood seeped out from the corner of Yi Xian's mouth. Yi Xian wiped off the blood from the corner of his mouth, and his expression was quite unsightly. "My first battle as a sword saint is already so miserable." Meanwhile, the woman in a black dress appeared before him again. She gazed coldly at Yi Xian. "Hand it over." Yi Xian was furious and he thought to himself, "You asked me to look for the Tao Law and now I've found it. Why aren't you coming out? Are you just going to watch me get beaten up?" Xiaoling said, "It said that it didn't ask you to get beaten up so you can hit her. I think what it said makes sense." Yi Xian was speechless. Meanwhile, the woman in a black dress was about to attack again, but Yi Xian turned around and fled. He was extremely swift, and he vanished into the horizon in the blink of an eye. The woman in a black dress was stunned. "You ran? You ran just like that?" Obviously, she hadn't expected that Yi Xian would actually run. In the next moment she chased after Yi Xian. At the end of the horizon, Yi Xian was dashing madly on his sword. Meanwhile, Xiao Linger's voice resounded abruptly, "It asked you not to run and to hit her, cripple her, and then drag her in here so that we can torture her together." Yi Xian's face darkened. "Ask it if it knows whether it can or can't beat her." Xiao Linger said, "It said that it'll hit you if you continue running." Yi Xian flared up with rage. "Can you not bully the weak and fear the strong? Can you have some backbone? Can you come out and fight her head-on? Can you not hide in there like a turtle?" After a moment of silence, Xiao Linger suddenly said, "It asked you why you can't defeat her." Yi Xian thought for a moment and then he said, "I really want to know the answer to that as well." Right at this moment, the woman in a black dress suddenly appeared in front of Yi Xian, and Yi Xian stopped. She gazed at Yi Xian. "You actually fled." Yi Xian was just about to speak when the space on his right suddenly rippled violently, and then a woman walked out. The person who came was Zhao Mu. Yi Xian's expression instantly became unsightly when he saw Lin Mook. Misfortune never comes alone? When Lin Mook saw Yi Xian, she clenched her right hand tightly. However, right at this moment, over 100 meters to Yi Xian's right, the space there suddenly split open, and then a group of black-clothed people floated out. The person in the lead was the black-robed old man from the Order Alliance. Moreover, the 9 black-clothed figures behind the old man were all Knowledge Realm experts. This group had just appeared when a ray of white light flickered over 30 m to Yi Xian's left, and then 11 people suddenly appeared. It was the Tang clan's Lin Mook, and there were 9 Tang clan cavalrymen standing behind him. Yi Xian was speechless. P.S. Who else is celebrating their birthday? Step forward, I want to see just how thick-skinned you can be. Chapter 574. Everyone was here. Yi Xian had calmed down instead. All of them intended to kill him. So here's the problem. Who should I let kill him? He didn't dare to answer or ask. The atmosphere here had become quite strange. Regardless of whether it was the Order Alliance, the Tang clan, Zhao Mu, or the woman in a black dress, none of them attacked first. Meanwhile, Yi Xian suddenly said, "Everyone, why don't we sit down and have a chat? What's the point of fighting and killing every single day? Let's calm down, have some tea and chat. Life is still very beautiful." Shut up. The woman in a black dress suddenly glanced at Yi Xian, and then she gazed at the members of the Order Alliance. "Where did all of you come from? Fuck off right now." Yi Xian hurriedly gave her a thumbs up. How domineering. At this moment he kind of liked this black-dressed woman's hot temper. The black-robed old man from the Order Alliance frowned slightly when he heard her. "Who are you?" She was just about to speak when Yi Xian hurriedly said, "She's my big sister." The woman in the black dress looked at Yi Xian. Yi Xian hurried to shut up. Then he stood there quietly, motionless. "Big sister?" The black-robed old man gazed at her and was about to speak when she suddenly vanished. At the instant that the woman in black disappeared, the expressions of everyone in the surroundings changed drastically. It was especially so for the black-robed old man. He crossed his arms before swiftly sweeping them forward. Bang! The others hadn't even recovered from their shock when the black-robed old man was blasted over 1 kilometer away. Moreover, his arms had vanished as soon as he stopped moving. The expressions of everyone here instantly became extremely solemn when they witnessed this scene. Zhao Mu glanced at the black-robed woman but didn't speak a word. She gazed coldly at the black-robed old man's group. Trash. The black-robed old man stared fixedly at her with an extremely solemn expression. "Who are you?" The black-dressed woman ignored the black-robed old man. Instead, she turned to look at Yi Xian, who had retreated hundreds of feet away. "Are you trying to run?" Yi Xian shook his head. "No." The black-dressed woman pointed at the black-robed old man and the others. "Are they here to kill you?" Yi Xian nodded. The black-dressed woman said angrily, "They came to kill you and you ran? You are the Tower Master. Take charge of the 5 dimensions." At this point she suddenly stopped. Yi Xian asked, "What's in charge of the 5 dimensions?" Everyone turned to look at the black-dressed woman. The black-dressed woman suddenly turned to look at Lin Mook and the others. She angrily said, "What are you looking at?" As soon as she finished speaking, she stomped her right foot. Boom. The space in front of her collapsed in an instant and a powerful force swept towards Lin Mook and the others from the pitch-black space. Boom boom boom. In an instant, Lin Mook and the others were blasted thousands of feet away. Seeing this scene, Yi Xian's eyelids twitched. This woman's strength was definitely that of a Dao validation expert. At this moment, Zhao Mu suddenly looked at the black-dressed woman. She had also been blasted back, but she had only been blasted back a few feet. Seeing Zhao Mu look over, the black-dressed woman raised her brows. Unhappy? Zhao Mu nodded. In the next moment, she dashed forward like a cheetah that had been waiting for a long time. Her speed was so fast that even Yi Xian couldn't see her clearly. The black-dressed woman sneered and directly punched towards Zhao Mu's fist. Simple and direct violence. As soon as their fists collided, boom. The surrounding space violently trembled. Neither of them retreated. Both of them forcefully withstood each other's strength. At this moment, the black-dressed woman's fist suddenly spun forward. Boom. The space in the surroundings instantly cracked apart, but Zhao Mu actually didn't move at all. The black-dressed woman's brows knit together slightly when she witnessed this scene. Meanwhile, Zhao Mu suddenly unclenched her fist and opened it. After that, she grabbed the black-dressed woman's fist and twisted it. In an instant, a powerful force swept out from the center of her palm. Suddenly, a ray of black light surged out from her palm. Bang! In an instant, the space in an area of 3 kilometers turned pitch black. The expressions of the experts from the Order Alliance and Tang clan changed drastically, and they hurriedly retreated explosively. On the other hand, 2 women were in a fierce battle in that pitch-black space. Their battle hadn't just caused the space in the surroundings to shatter apart, even the islands below them had been transformed into powder by the aftershock of their attacks. Lin Mook and the black-robed old man had extremely solemn expressions on their faces. Because the strengths of the black-dressed woman and Zhao Mu weren't ordinary. It could be said that these 2 women far surpassed everyone else present here. No, there's still Yi Xian. When they thought of Yi Xian, Lin Mook, the black-robed old man, and the others looked towards where Yi Xian stood. However, it was empty now. He fled. Their expressions instantly became unsightly. Meanwhile, the black-robed old man hurriedly gazed at the 2 women who were still fighting in the distance. Stop fighting. Yi Xian has fled. Yi Xian has fled? The 2 women stopped fighting nearby. When they looked towards where Yi Xian stood, they frowned at the same time. Meanwhile, the black-robed woman suddenly pointed at the black-robed old man. Why didn't you say so earlier? The black-robed old man's face twitched. Is she a devil? How can I be blamed for this? The black-robed woman's face turned livid with rage, and she grew angrier the more she thought about it. Suddenly, she charged at the black-robed old man. The black-robed old man's expression changed drastically when he witnessed this scene. He didn't have the ability to fight at all. But it didn't take long for 9 black-clothed figures to obstruct his path, and then 9 rays of cold light formed a square formation that enveloped the black-robed woman. A moment of silence ensued. Bang! An enormous explosion resounded as the square formation shattered, and the 9 black-clothed figures were blasted back repeatedly. After she blasted them back, the black-robed woman intended to continue attacking. But a moment later, her brows knit together slightly, and she raised her head to look up into the sky. An invisible pressure had suddenly condensed in the sky, and at the same time, black clouds had condensed. The black-robed woman blinked when she witnessed this scene, and then she turned around and left. She was extremely swift and vanished in the blink of an eye. After she left, the pressure in the sky calmed down, and it didn't take long for it to vanish completely. Everything returned to normal. Zhao Mu had turned around and vanished as well. Only the members of the Tang clan and Order Alliance remained here. Both sides had extremely unsightly expressions on their faces. They'd allowed Yi Xian to flee again. Meanwhile, the space in front of Lin Mook suddenly trembled, and it didn't take long for a voice to resound. Return to the clan. Return to the clan. Lin Mook led the Tang clan cavalry behind him and left. The black-robed old man remained silent for a long time before a transmission talisman suddenly flew out from before him. He gazed at the transmission talisman for a very long time before he finally spoke in a light voice. Guardian Qin Tian, I'm useless and have failed numerous times. Guardian, please replace me with someone else. A moment later, a voice suddenly sounded in front of the black-robed old man. Approved. Hearing this, the black-robed old man immediately felt relieved. He was a little afraid of Yi Xian. This time it was only 2 arms. Next time, who knew what would be broken? Furthermore, his intuition told him that for a person like Yi Xian, the Order Alliance wouldn't be able to deal with him. If they really wanted to target Yi Xian, they should have sent a Supreme Expert or even a Star Lord himself, to directly kill Yi Xian and eliminate all future troubles. If this dragged on, it was tantamount to giving Yi Xian time to grow. And this Yi Xian's growth rate was very fast. It wouldn't be long before even a Tao-proving realm expert wouldn't be a match for Yi Xian. The black-robed old man shook his head and sighed. Actually, he knew that the higher-ups of the Order Alliance were definitely aware of the problems he was thinking about. He also knew that the higher-ups had their worries. They were worried that if they were to forcefully attack Yi Xian, then it would cause the conflict between the Order Alliance and the Tang clan to escalate. Because the Tang clan would absolutely not allow that treasure to fall into the hands of the Order Alliance. Moreover, it was exactly because of this reason that Yi Xian had been able to survive until now. No matter what, all of this had nothing to do with him now. A short while later, the black-robed old man led everyone away. As for Yi Xian, he didn't even want to think about Yi Xian. Just thinking about him gave him a headache. Tang Clan Hall of Heroes. The Hall of Heroes was a hall that the Tang clan used to discuss matters. Ordinary disciples of the Tang clan didn't have the qualifications to enter this hall. In front of the Hall of Heroes, there was a statue of a woman. The statue was vivid and lifelike, just like a real person. The woman wore a white floral dress and her long hair draped over her shoulders. There were a few small braids in between her long hair. In her right hand, she held a book titled Time and Dimensions. This woman was the most stunning genius in the history of the Tang clan. Mu Nanji. She was also the first female head of the Tang clan in history. Logically speaking, her surname should be Tang. However, she had always insisted that her surname was Mu. The Tang clan members didn't dare to disobey her and could only obey her orders. Below the statue of the woman, there was a sentence. Who said that women were inferior to men? It was because of this sentence that the status of women in the Tang clan had changed greatly. In the Tang clan, women had the same authority and status as men. The education, cultivation and resources that only men could enjoy in the past were also available to women. In fact, women could also become the heir or the head of the family. Moreover, there was no such thing as status in the Tang clan. If the son of the clan leader wasn't good enough, he would still be eliminated. If the son of a servant was strong enough, he could also be promoted. In short, if you can do it, then do it. The current patriarch of the Tang clan, Tang Yen, was once the illegitimate son of a down-and-out disciple of the Tang clan and a maidservant. The Hall of Heroes was usually empty because the patriarch would only gather the experts of the Tang clan to discuss important matters within the hall. Today there were over 30 people standing within the hall. The weakest amongst them was at the Dao realm. Some were old, some were young, and there were even many women. Tang Qing was amongst them as well. The hall was very silent. A long time passed before a figure suddenly appeared within the hall. Everyone present bowed in unison. Greetings, Patriarch. It was the Patriarch of the Tang clan, Tang Yen. One of the 6 great experts of the Tang clan. Tang Yen said, "Let's put the matter of the Qing clan aside for now. Today we'll discuss Yi Xian. Perhaps everyone here doesn't know him very well. Tang Feng, tell us about him." A young man walked out from below. He was the 9th young master of the Tang clan, Tang Feng, and he was one of the contenders for the position of heir. Tang Feng bowed slightly to everyone here and then he said, Yi Xian was born in Qingqingzi clan. His mother is a daughter of the Dugu clan from the upper dimensions, and his father's identity is unknown. He came into contact with the sword Dao at the age of 18, and he became a sword immortal at the age of 19. There's a mysterious person standing behind him, and his identity and strength are unknown. His strengths are extremely high natural talent in the sword Dao, meticulous thinking, decisive in killing, firm will, loyal to his friends, thick skin and not inflexible. He does what others don't and is capable of what others can't. When he spoke up to here, he paused for a moment before he continued. His weaknesses are loyal to his friends, and he cares too much about his younger sister and friends. If my Tang clan can't defeat him head-on, then we can attack his friends and family, especially his younger sister, and crush him with a single strike. Chapter 575. Everyone in the hall gazed silently at Tang Feng. Tang Feng smiled and said, "Of course. My Tang clan is a large clan after all. If we can't deal with a single Yi Xian and target his friends and younger sister, then it would be beneath our dignity." Meanwhile, a man walked over from nearby and he smiled and said, "Ninth brother, you're wrong. A man should naturally not be bothered by the trifles. My Tang clan has been able to stand until now not because of benevolence or so-called morality." Everyone looked at the man who spoke. He was the 2nd young master of the Tang clan, Tang Yi. He was also one of the people fighting for the position of heir of the Tang clan. Tang Feng smiled and said, "Second brother is right. However, my Tang clan is a large clan. If we can't deal with Yi Xian and target his younger sister and friends, aren't we afraid of being ridiculed by the world?" Tang Yi shook his head and smiled. Why should the strong care about what the weak think? Would an elephant care about what the ants think? Tang Feng smiled. That's second brother's attitude and thoughts. However, I insist on my own opinion. Tang Yi smiled. Then let the patriarch make the decision. Everyone looked at Tang Yen. Meanwhile, Tang Yen looked at Tang Qing. Qing, what do you think? Everyone looked at Tang Qing when they heard this. They were rather surprised. Tang Feng looked at Tang Qing as well, and he still had a smile on his face. Tang Yi closed his eyes slowly, and no one knew what he was thinking. In the hall, Tang Qing suddenly said, "The Tang clan knows nothing about the person behind Yi Xian." Some of the people here frowned when they heard this. The person behind Yi Xian. Tang Qing glanced at them and said, "Why did that treasure fall into Yi Xian's hands? Who is Yi Xian's father? Why did the Star Lord's clone vanish without a trace that day? And the experts from countless other stellar regions, who could have instantly wiped them out? Was that person a single person or a power? My Tang clan knows nothing about it." Tang Yen suddenly said, "Continue." Tang Qing nodded and said, "My Tang clan is one of the strongest powers in the world, but I feel that we shouldn't underestimate anyone even more, especially this Yi Xian. Such a precious treasure was actually in his hands. This matter itself was strange. Moreover, this person has an evil beast with him, an evil beast from the era of the god race." Evil beast. Hearing this, an old man suddenly asked, "An evil beast from the god race era?" Tang Qing nodded. "I saw this beast when I was with him. This beast is indeed an evil beast of the god race." Beside her, Tang Feng suddenly said, "Big sister, are you talking about the demonic beast beside him in the never-ending starfield?" Tang Qing nodded, "Yes." Tang Feng nodded slightly. "I was blind. I can't even recognize this beast's true origin." Tang Qing looked at Tang Yen. "Clan leader, I think that we should wait and see for now. There are two reasons. First, it's not just my Tang clan that wants that treasure, the Order Alliance also wants it. Even the Demon clan might have secretly made a move. Apart from that, the disciple of the Southern Sect's martial master, Zhao Mu, is also looking for Yi Xian. All these signs show that someone is more anxious than us. At this moment, whoever makes the first move will force Yi Xian to reveal his trump card or the person behind him. The second reason is that no matter who obtains that treasure, they will become the target of everyone. Even if it's our Tang clan, once we obtain that treasure, we will definitely force the Law and Order Alliance to ally with the Monster clan. Because they will definitely not allow us to become the strongest clan in the world." With that, she returned to her original position. At this time, Tang Yen said, "What do you think?" A Tang family elder looked at Tang Qing. "But if we wait and see, what if that treasure falls into the hands of the Order Alliance?" Tang Qing said softly, "What the elder is worried about should be what all of you are worried about. Actually, we can let the clan leader restrain the Astral Lord. If the Astral Lord does not move, the clan leader will not move. Under such circumstances, if the Order Alliance wants to obtain that treasure, then they will definitely have to send someone to kill Yi Xian. Besides the Astral Lord, there shouldn't be anyone in the Order Alliance who is 100% confident in killing Yi Xian. In this way, once the Order Alliance wants that treasure, then they will definitely have to fight Yi Xian to the death. At that time, our Tang clan can just watch from the shadows and act when it's necessary." Tang Feng suddenly said, "What Big Sister means is that we won't make the first move, but we won't give up either. Whoever makes the first move, and if Yi Xian can't win or is killed, then we'll act at that time. Right?" Tang Qing nodded. "The more we want to obtain that treasure, the calmer we have to be." When she spoke up to this point, she paused for a moment before she continued. "Ancestor Nanji once said that it's easy to conquer a country, but it's difficult to defend it. Our Tang clan's current status wasn't easy to obtain, so we can't take a single wrong step. Because a single step might lead to eternal damnation." As she spoke up to this point, she looked at Tang Yen. "Patriarch, I've finished speaking. Everything is up to you." Tang Yen said, "Does anyone have a different opinion?" Meanwhile, Tang Yi suddenly looked at Tang Qing. "What Big Sister means is that not only can we not make the first move, we have to stop the Order Alliance from obtaining that treasure. In other words, we're protecting Yi Xian?" Tang Qing smiled. "Second brother, are you trying to say that I'm siding with Yi Xian?" Tang Yi smiled. "Big sister, you've misunderstood." Tang Qing chuckled. "I'm a member of the Tang clan." As soon as she finished speaking, she fell silent. A member of the Tang clan. Tang Yi glanced at Tang Qing and didn't say another word. Because if he did, then he could be targeted. It was extremely unwise to do so at a time like this. Meanwhile, Tang Yen suddenly stood up. We'll do as Tang Qing says. As soon as he finished speaking, he vanished. But it didn't take long for him to appear once more. There's something strange about the Qing clan. Don't get involved. I'll deal with it myself. As soon as he finished speaking, he vanished. Along with Tang Yan's disappearance, the others left successively. As soon as Tang Qing left the main hall, Tang Yi's voice suddenly came from behind her. Big sister, are you really not angry at all when the clan abandoned you? Tang Qing stopped and said softly, of course I'm angry. But I'm more angry at myself. If I'm outstanding enough, I think the clan will definitely protect me at all costs, right? Tang Yi smiled. Big sister, you've really seen things through. Tang Qing said softly, second brother, there's only one heir apparent. Everyone wants it and I want it too. However, we might just be whetstones for others. Tang Yi smiled. Big sister, you're trying to tell me that you're not my enemy, right? Tang Qing smiled. Second brother, you should know that in your heart. I'm just reminding you. Tang Yi looked at the statue of Mu Nanji in front of him and said softly, I believe in fate, but I want to fight for it. As soon as he finished speaking, he turned around and left. In the hall, Tang Qing walked to the statue of Mu Nanji. Looking at the statue in front of him, Tang Qing fell into deep thought. On an island in the concealing sky sea, Yi Xian sat cross-legged in front of a fruit tree, absorbing divine crystals. At this moment he still had some lingering fear. That black-dressed woman's strength was really too strong. And that Zhao Mu, that woman was also very heaven-defying. Fortunately, the two of them were people with explosive tempers. They would start fighting at the slightest disagreement. Otherwise he wouldn't have stood a chance. At this moment, the World Prison Pagoda appeared in front of Yi Xian. It began to jump rapidly. Xiao Linger appeared beside him. She glanced at the World Prison Pagoda, then looked at Yi Xian. It said, why did you run? You should capture her and bring her in. Yi Xian said, I can't beat her. Xiao Linger asked, it asked why you can't beat her. Yi Xian pointed at the World Prison Pagoda. You ask it, why doesn't it dare to come out and fight? Xiao Linger looked at the World Prison Pagoda, and a moment later she looked at Yi Xian. It said you're good at lying, right? Trick her into coming in. Yi Xian almost fainted. What was going on with this World Prison Pagoda? Did it have the intelligence of a 3-year-old? Why would it ask such idiotic questions? Yi Xian was about to speak, but at this moment the space nearby suddenly trembled. Then a woman walked out. It was that black-dressed woman. Yi Xian's face fell as soon as he saw the woman in the black dress. She had actually come looking for him. At this moment Xiao Linger suddenly said, it was the one who called her here. Yi Xian was stunned, then pointed at the World Prison Pagoda. It was the one who called her here? Xiao Linger nodded. Yi Xian almost fainted when he heard this. Mother asterisk her. Is this stupid pagoda crazy? Not far away the black-dressed woman walked in front of Yi Xian, and the World Prison Pagoda and Xiao Linger disappeared. Yi Xian, the black-dressed woman looked at Yi Xian. Why aren't you running anymore? Yi Xian said calmly, you also want this pagoda? The black-dressed woman said coldly, what do I want this stupid pagoda for? Yi Xian said, then why are you chasing me? The black-dressed woman suddenly clenched her fist. She was very angry. You are the pagoda master, how can you be so weak? You can't be so weak. Yi Xian hurriedly said, calm down first, you have to understand I am very young now. I'm only 18 years old. 20. The black-dressed woman looked coldly at Yi Xian. From your bone structure, you are at least 20. Yi Xian's mouth twitched. 20 it is, I am only 20. I'm still a child. Oh no, I am still a youth. How strong do you expect me to be? The black-dressed woman said coldly, let it come out. Yi Xian said solemnly, it wants you to enter. The black-dressed woman's mouth curled into a cold smile. Do you think I am stupid? If I enter, I will be controlled by it. Yi Xian hesitated, then said, don't you want to go back? The black-dressed woman looked at Yi Xian as if looking at an idiot. It is so fun outside, why go back? Yi Xian hesitated, then said, are you from the 5th dimension? The black-dressed woman shook her head. No. Yi Xian was stunned. Then you, the black-dressed woman said calmly, when we were conscious we were already in this stupid pagoda. Speaking of this she suddenly became angry. This stupid pagoda. I told it not to fight. It insisted on fighting, said it could win. This idiot was almost broken by them and caused us to be almost scattered. This big idiot is so stupid I want to cry. Yi Xian. Chapter 576. The more she spoke, the more agitated she became. In the end, she suddenly looked at Yi Xian and said angrily, "Get it out. I'm going to kill it. This idiot." Yi Xian smiled bitterly. "It's not coming out." The woman in the black dress said angrily, "Then I'll hit you." With that, she punched at Yi Xian from afar. Yi Xian did not dare to be careless and slashed forward. Dizzy. A sword beam flashed down. Boom. The sword beam exploded instantly. At that moment, Yi Xian had already retreated 1,000 feet away. His expression was a little grim. If this went on, his whereabouts would definitely be exposed. The woman in the black dress was about to attack again when Yi Xian suddenly said, "That's enough." The woman in the black dress frowned slightly. "What's enough?" Yi Xian said seriously, "When experts fight, we should stop when it's too late. We've already exchanged one move, so we should stop when it's too late." The woman in the black dress blinked and her brain short-circuited. Yi Xian hurriedly took the opportunity to say, "I have to say that you're the most powerful Dao Law I've ever seen. You're the first person I admire." The woman in the black dress was expressionless. "Are you sucking up to me? Let me tell you, I won't fall for it. However, I feel that although you're a little weak, you're an honest person and have some redeeming qualities." Yi Xian was speechless. The woman in the black dress said again, "You've seen other Dao Laws?" Yi Xian hurriedly nodded. "Yes. There's the Grand Dao Law, Space Dao Law, and Dream Dao Law." The woman in the black dress frowned slightly. "Let me see." Yi Xian hurriedly activated the Grand Dao Law. Soon, a tiny earth character appeared on his glabella. Grand Dao Law. Upon seeing this Grand Dao Law, the woman in the black dress took a look at Yi Xian. "What else?" Yi Xian hurriedly took out the Space Dao Law and Dream Dao Law. A moment later, the woman in the black dress asked, "Do you know how to use them?" Yi Xian nodded. "I know." As soon as he finished speaking, he opened his palm. Very quickly, the power of the earth and the surroundings rapidly gathered towards him. Not long after, a sword condensed in his hand. Yi Xian waved the sword in his hand at the black-dressed woman. "Look." The black-dressed woman glanced at Yi Xian. "That's it." Yi Xian nodded. The black-dressed woman's gaze suddenly became somewhat pitiful. Yi Xian suddenly felt hurt. He quickly asked, "Is there another way to use it?" The black-dressed woman said indifferently, "No." Yi Xian smiled. "Understood. Understood. You're afraid that I'll defeat you after mastering it." The black-dressed woman sneered, "Are you joking? Do you know how powerful I am?" Yi Xian said calmly, "Then what are you afraid of?" The black-dressed woman sneered, "You still want to provoke me? Do I look like an idiot to you?" Yi Xian sighed softly and did not say anything. The black-dressed woman said coldly, "What are you sighing about?" Yi Xian said, "Yanjia told me that if I encounter the Dao Law of the fifth floor, I must seek guidance from her because the Dao Law of the fifth floor is very powerful." The black-dressed woman frowned. "You've seen Yanjia?" Yi Xian nodded. "Yes." The black-dressed woman sized up Yi Xian with a strange expression. Yi Xian asked, "What's wrong?" The black-dressed woman suddenly appeared in front of Yi Xian. Yi Xian's expression changed slightly. However, he did not attack because this black-dressed woman did not have any killing intent. The black-dressed woman did not have any killing intent towards him from the beginning until now. Otherwise, he would have taken out the soul-subduing sword and risked his life. The black-dressed woman stared at Yi Xian. "Do you know why I didn't kill you?" Yi Xian hesitated before saying, "Because I'm handsome?" The black-dressed woman suddenly slapped down. Bang! Yi Xian was instantly blasted 300 m away. As soon as he stopped, the black-dressed woman suddenly appeared in front of him. "You're able to control that damn pagoda now, right?" Yi Xian did not dare to be mischievous and immediately nodded. The black-dressed woman looked Yi Xian in the eye. "I'll teach you how to use the Dao Law. However, you have to do me a favor." Yi Xian asked. "What favor?" The black-dressed woman spoke indifferently. "I want to enter the pagoda to recuperate. However, so long as I enter, that damned pagoda might forcefully control me. So, you have to help me not to let it control me." Yi Xian fell silent. He had never expected that the black-dressed woman actually had such an intention. No wonder she had not aroused any killing intent towards him from the beginning until now. Yi Xian retracted his thoughts and said, "I'm afraid I can't do anything about it if it wants to forcefully control you." Even though he was the pagoda master, the pagoda paid no attention to him most of the time. The black-dressed woman spoke indifferently. "Don't worry. So long as you agree to stand on my side, then it won't be able to do anything to me, nor will it be able to do anything to you." Yi Xian hesitated for a moment and said, "Is there a way to control it?" The black-dressed woman laughed coldly. What do you think? Yi Xian thought for a moment and said, how about this? I'll make it come out and we can discuss it. Otherwise it's very likely that things will become very tense. He was quite worried as well. He was worried about the pagoda. Because if he joined forces with the black-dressed woman, then the pagoda would definitely be in a very bad mood. He didn't want internal strife to occur within his body every single day. The black-dressed woman remained expressionless. Up to you. Yi Xian nodded and then he immersed his consciousness into his body. Xiao Ta, if you really don't come out then there's no way to discuss it. Don't worry, she won't harm you while I'm here. The three of us can't even defeat a single one of us. There was no movement from the pagoda. Yi Xian's face sank. Is she really that afraid of death? Right at this moment, Xiao Ling suddenly appeared in front of Yi Xian. She was holding a Xiao Ta in her arms. It was the pagoda. Xiao Ling blinked. It asked me to bring it out. Yi Xian was speechless. The black-dressed woman glanced at the pagoda with a rather complicated expression. Yi Xian asked, what's wrong? The black-dressed woman said softly, it's very heavily injured and its intelligence has been damaged. Otherwise, with its temper, you would have been reincarnated a long time ago. Yi Xian was slightly curious. His temper is bad? The black-dressed woman said indifferently, it's so bad that you can't imagine it. It was once in a starfield and it was affected by a battle between two people. So, it destroyed that entire starfield. Yi Xian was speechless. The black-dressed woman looked at the pagoda. I'll be recuperating inside the pagoda, and I'll also help you stabilize it. However, you can't control me or I'll kill you. The current you can't beat me. You have to understand this, understand? The pagoda trembled as if it was responding to something. Xiao Ling said, it said that it can beat you in the future. Yi Xian was speechless. The black-dressed woman shook her head. It's so stupid that it's cute. After saying that, she directly entered the pagoda. Inside the pagoda, the black-dressed woman looked around. Finally, she looked at the top of the pagoda. When she saw the two swords at the top of the pagoda, she said indifferently, Pagoda Master, when are you going to take these two swords out? They're just a waste of space here. Yi Xian was speechless. Inside the pagoda, Xiao Ling appeared in front of the black-dressed woman. Xiao Ling looked at the black-dressed woman. The first, second, third, fourth and fifth floors are all mine. In addition, the sixth, seventh, eighth and ninth floors are all mine. If you don't agree, I'll. The black-dressed woman was expressionless. What? Are you going to hit me? Xiao Ling thought for a moment. Then she said, violence can't solve problems. I'm trying to reason with you. I'm trying to communicate with you. You'll be reasonable, right? The black-dressed woman thought for a moment. Then she said, you can plant them, but can I eat them? Xiao Ling hurriedly nodded. You can eat them. You can eat whatever you want. But you can't eat the trees. If you eat the trees, they won't grow back. The black-dressed woman nodded. All right. Xiao Ling nodded. I'm Xiao Ling. What's your name? The black-dressed woman thought for a moment. Then she said, you. As she spoke, she suddenly gazed at the emperor dog that was lying on the ground not too far away. She walked over to the emperor dog. The emperor dog opened its eyes, and there was a trace of vigilance in them. Yu sized up the emperor dog and said, Pagoda Master, can this be eaten? The emperor dog was speechless. Yi Xian's face darkened. Don't do anything rash. Yu said seriously, Pagoda Master, its bloodline isn't bad. If you eat it, then your strength will definitely improve greatly. Yi Xian said seriously, Miss Yu, it's my friend. Yu shrugged. Do whatever you want. If it's not your friend in the future, then I'll eat it if you don't. The emperor dog was terrified when it heard that. Yu paid no attention to the emperor dog and she just walked upstairs. Xiao Ling floated over to the emperor dog and sized it up. She was slightly curious. Are you really delicious? Can I have a taste? The emperor dog was speechless. Yu arrived at the fifth floor. At this moment, the fifth floor had been filled with spirit trees by Xiao Ling. Yu spoke softly, has the person on the fifth floor left or? Yi Xian replied, he's been killed. Yu's brows knit together slightly. He's so strong that you probably won't be able to kill him. Yi Xian said, I didn't kill him. It was the sword master at the top of the pagoda. Yu's eyelids twitched. The sword master isn't dead? Yi Xian was speechless. Yu's expression returned to normal. Who appeared? Yi Xian said, all three of them. Yu blinked. A long time passed before she said, are they familiar with you? Yi Xian thought for a moment and said, Quite familiar. Ayu fell silent. Yi Xian asked, "What is it?" Ayu spoke softly, "It's not as simple as I thought." "Forget it. I don't care. I'm going to rest." Yi Xian hurriedly said, "How do I use that Tao law?" Ayu replied, "You have to wake it up and restore its consciousness, and then establish a spiritual connection with it. After that, you'll fuse with it. At that time you'll be the Grand Tao Law. So long as you step on the ground, you'll be able to obtain the energy of the earth. If you're slightly more formidable, you'll even be able to obtain the energy of the earth veins. If you're even more formidable, you'll even be able to obtain the energy of the earth spirit. At that time you'll be the master of the earth. Do you know how formidable that is? To put it simply, you can make the entire world tremble with just a stomp of your foot. You're using it to condense it into a sword now, which is simply a foolish act. Which idiot taught you this?" Yi Xian replied, "The sword master at the top of the pagoda taught me that." The pagoda of prison suddenly fell silent. A short while later, Ayu suddenly said, "What did I say just now? Why don't I remember anything?" Yi Xian was speechless. P.S. Many readers have birthdays today. I've always thought that I was very thick-skinned, but I never imagined that there would always be someone stronger. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.